Happy New Year, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Boxing Coalition. My name is Cam. Join me tonight, young Abu Dhabi himself, Chemo, Leon, Naoya, and my boy Daniel will be on later on as well. So, Happy New Year, guys. I hope you guys are well. Hope you guys that celebrate Christmas had a good one, and hope you guys had a good New Year as well. Alright, let's do some housekeeping. We need to just touch on a few fights that occurred just before Christmas and New Year. So I spoke to some of you guys off air just earlier, and only really me and Naoya saw him. So Naoya, let's just touch on Beterbiev fighting, was it Prieto on 2 days before Christmas?
Yeah, Isidro Prieto on the day before on Christmas Eve, and he scored a first round TKO, man, just pretty much obliterated him. But it was at the end of the round that he managed to finish him off, but he looked every bit as impressive as he has in the last couple of years that we've seen him. And I was talking to you off air about it. Prieto wasn't a bum. The only fight that he had lost before that was a 12-round unanimous decision, where he had actually got a couple rounds on Eleider Alvarez. So for Beterbiev to go in there and just blast him out of there like he was a nobody is pretty damn impressive. I mean, it just goes to show how much power this guy's got. And, just by virtue of that power, I could see him beating a lot of guys in the division, even though he hasn't even gone beyond 7 rounds yet.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, but what sticks out to me is your ending statement about the rounds. And I don't know, was it 7 rounds? And he throws every punch with the conviction and power, and I'm concerned if he meets someone that's going to be able to smother him a bit and make him chase around the ring, if he's going to be able to have the stamina to continue, because he does throw every punch like it's his last, and which obviously is a good thing, because he bludgeons his people, into submission, as he did Prieto at the end of that first round, and he does kind of stand a bit too close sometimes and smother his own work at times, and a lot of the time his accuracy isn't great. He kind of catches guys on shoulders and arms, and he kind of just almost like I said, baseball bats him over. It's more of a beating rather than precision, but he is an exciting guy to have in the division. I just want him to kind of be match made better now, and have some step up fights. I'm tired of these kind of first, third, fourth round knockouts. I want to see him tested.
Yeah, it's tough though, because who can really take that power for an extended period? That's the problem. It's like you're gonna have to step him up significantly, all the way up to like damn near the top level, basically, to find a guy that has the type of punch resistance that can actually take what he's got. And I'm not even necessarily sure if that's, a guarantee. He is a bit of a clubber. He has a little bit of Sam Peter in him, in that. But just the overall force with which he's able to generate power on his shots is damn impressive. And I could see him keeping that knockout streak alive until he's basically facing an elite, like a truly elite fighter, not only with an elite chin, but with elite skills as well.
Yep. And let's move on to, I guess, the 30th and the 31st. Japan will always hold it down when it comes to those end-of-year fights. I know Chemo and Leon also saw the Inoue fight, so you go first, Naoya. Your thoughts on the Inoue Kono fight?
Yeah, well, Inoue has looked as impressive as ever. He didn't mess up his hands this time, which has been a fairly frequent issue for him the last couple of years. Put him on the shelf to a certain degree by virtue of that. But here against Kono is he's a wily fighter. He's a guy that comes right at you. He's like a Marcos Maidana. He's swarming you with punches. He doesn't quite have the power of Maidana, but just high volume, high stamina. Basically, how good is your conditioning? He's there to test your will, test your resolve, test your stamina. And, Inoue pretty much just took him out of the fight probably as early as the second round. The first round was pretty good, pretty close. Kono fought like hell against him. It was like a street fight, basically, the type of fight that Kono wants it to be. But once Inoue managed to start getting a little bit of range, get that mid-range jab and hook off, it was damn near as good as over. And then finally in the 6th round is where he met. And the funny thing is, like, the knockout came pretty suddenly because Kono wasn't really showing too much damage from the shots that Inoue was hitting him with. Even though Inoue was hitting him with bombs, Kono was taking them, just eating them and coming right at him. Finally in the 6th round, it almost reminded me of the way Mayweather kind of caught Ricky Hatton coming forward with that check left hook. Inoue just laid Kono completely flat with a left hook as Kono lunged at him. And I was actually surprised Kono even got up from that. But, just knowing his good conditioning and his overall will and heart, he got back up. And then, Inoue finished him in the follow-up flurry, and that was all she wrote. But first time Kono's ever been stopped. Kono is all of his losses have been competitive losses. This is the first time anybody ever just blew him out of the water. And he's a guy that's, fought some of pretty much the best of the best over the past 5 years at super flyweight. So, I mean, he even had a majority decision loss to Liborio Solis, who, of course, just got robbed, versus Jamie McDonald. So that was a big win for Inoue. And I think his placement, in the pound-for-pound list, is just going to keep going up. And his placement at super flyweight, I mean, he's basically one of the top 1, 2, 3 fighters there. I mean, you could pretty much mix and match him versus Gonzalez and Cuadras any way you want at super flyweight, and I wouldn't really argue it. But supremely impressive stuff, and it seems like he's only getting better too.
Kimo, you saw the Inoue fight. Your thoughts?
Yeah, man. I mean, Inoue he's an exciting guy to watch. I was I was very impressed with his jab. He's got a strong thudding jab that if he commits to it, he seems like a pretty hard guy to beat. He's got some size on him. He's a little bit lanky, but he just looks quite physically strong as well. I like watching him fight, but I'm not going to really put too much credit into him, beating this Kono guy. Even though the knockout was very impressive and apparently he's never been stopped, but I want to see him versus a big name, and that's when I'm really gonna get on the hype train if he beats a guy like Roman Gonzalez, for example, because at the moment. I'm still not 100% convinced. I'm still a little bit worried about him defensively. He tends to stand a bit straight up sometimes when he's jabbing it away and when he's throwing punches. And I have a feeling he can get clipped as well when he's fighting somebody who's actually got some offense to throw at him. So I don't know what the odds are of him actually fighting Roman Gonzalez. I know HBO has been talking about it. I mean, maybe Naoya
pretty good.
Can shed some light on that, how realistic it is that we actually get this. Because I understand that Choco's been, pretty selective lately as well with the opponents and the money that he wants to get.
Yeah. No, I'd say it's pretty good because Gonzalez was definitely very much complaining about what HBO was trying to offer him for a rematch with Cuadras, and basically saying that he could make more money against Inoue, even if it's a lesser overall purse, the amount of taxes wouldn't be as high. So he could, that'd be a better route for him. But at the moment, I know Gonzalez is going to be defending his next fight against the WBC mandatory Sisakitsu Rongvasai, the fighter from Thailand that Cuadras actually beat to get the title. So I don't blame him at all for defending against his mandatory. It's just what you got to do in the business. And Rongvasai is a good fighter on his own. I mean, he's basically a top 5 fighter himself in the division. Probably one of the best fighters without a belt. But I could easily see that fight happening afterwards, especially because I think, if anything, the risk versus reward ratio is probably worse for Gonzalez against either Cuadras or Estrada, simply because of the fact that Estrada hasn't really been built on HBO much, and considering how much HBO is already offering him semi-low for Cuadras. And for Inoue, Inoue is still relatively inexperienced, as you kind of touched on, and will he be able to fight at that very next level, that very next gear, which is the Gonzalez Cuadras level, where it's 12 rounds of you better be fucking ready at all times. And if you make a mistake, you might be out of there in an instant. So, I could definitely see it happening. It seems like the money and the overall trajectory of both fighters' careers will probably lead towards that sooner rather than later.
One thing I'm kind of foreseeing a little bit, and I've been watching actually some Chocolatito fights today again, and the way he looks at Superfly and the way he just looks in general right now, he does seem aged, even though, he did very well against Cuadras, don't get me wrong, and his skill takes him quite a long way, but he doesn't look the same anymore like he used to, a couple of years back. I watched the Estrada fight again, and just the overall shape, the look of his body, the snap and the power in his punches, obviously moving up in weight. And then you got a guy like Inoue who's just gaining momentum. Yeah. He's a young, strong, hungry lion, as they say. You kind of get the feeling that if he doesn't catch this guy now, if he waits a few fights, maybe we're gonna see, the changing of the guard happening. I don't know. I don't think Chocolatito is gonna improve from here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It may only get better. He probably will. And also, shit, if you just look at their body size and everything, Inoue, by the time he's Gonzalez's age, maybe at 122 or so, if not even higher possibly. But whereas Gonzalez is basically kind of a chubby, super flyweight. He looks like a guy that has pretty much achieved all that he's wanted to. He beat Arguello's record. He's a super celebrity in Nicaragua. He's the pound for pound number one. It's like at that point, it becomes a little bit more difficult for you to really get up and be hungry for your next fight. So it's almost, you may be right. He may be at that point where, he's content with, his overall situation with his legacy and such. And he may not necessarily, be training as hard nowadays, but I'd imagine that the Quadras fight was definitely a wake up call if that was the case, because he definitely can't take any shortcuts. Otherwise, he may wind up actually taking an L, which came very close last time.
Yeah. The punches at super flyweight also just seem to affect him more. Like he gets a little hit a little bit more easily, but they also do more damage on his face. And Quadras, even though he hit him quite a lot, he was shoe shining a little bit. And if a guy like Inoue, who commits more to the punches and has more of that damaging power, that could spell trouble for him as well. So it's just a great fucking fight, and I really, really hope that we get it soon.
Yeah. Whereas Quadras is more of like a flashy speed from power, like Pacquiao type, power puncher. Inoue is more of like an Errol Spence set up shop and bang, try to crack you with one shot and take you out type puncher. Yeah. So,
Leon, quickly your thoughts on the Inoue fight?
I thought Kone, he brought the fight, so you got to give him a lot of credit because he came to fight. And I think he brought out something that I hadn't seen in Inoue before, and I thought he did well off the back foot. And I thought it was good to see someone who's considered a front foot fighter fighting a different style. And that guy, whatever Chemo says, that guy was a decent guy, and he smashed him to bits in the end. That left hook was super quick, wasn't it? You couldn't even really see it. It was so quick.
It's true, actually. I didn't see it either. It's hard to see on a
super quick, yeah. And it was short, real short. And so he's just as impressive as we all believed he was before that fight. I just think it showed an extra skill set to his bow, so I was very impressed. And that guy made it a good fight, man. That was not some fucking matchroom fucking pudding who turned up, was it? It was a fucking guy who turned up to fight.
Yeah, Kono was going for it. Just quickly for my thoughts, it was
exactly wasn't. Yeah,
very high paced fight. Both guys trying to throw lots and land lots. And it's truly on. Like I was expecting, Inoue to be on the front foot, but it was refreshing to see him kind of box and counter on the back foot. Only thing I wanted to ask Naoya was, from previous Inoue fights I've noticed, Naoya, he usually executes everything behind a highish guard, but in this fight, his left hand was quite low. Was that strategy, or is that just him trying to try something else, or was that a technique he was just trying to use against Kono? Any ideas?
No, he's used that actually quite a bit. Like he likes to use the kind of Mayweather shoulder roll type defense. He used it a hell of a lot at 108 pounds. I think he's tended to use the high guard a bit more at Superfly because the punches are just heavier. The difference between 108 and 115 is fairly drastic. You could just look at a number of fighters that have tried to go up through those weight classes, Gonzalez himself, to see that. And, I think with Kono, he wasn't necessarily especially worried about the power, because Kono isn't necessarily really a power puncher. He's more of a volume guy, bit of a slapper sometimes too. So I think he was really just looking to see if he could try and set up counters with out of the shoulder roll style a bit more so than using the high guard as much. Like when he fought David Carmona, he knew that Carmona was a rugged guy with a lot of power. So I think he was a bit more tentative there, as well as when he fought Omar Narvaez, because similar type of thing, except for Narvaez had more of that speedy pop power, almost like Quadras in a certain fashion. So I think it was really just more strategic, meant for Kono, and I think it's just kind of goes to show he knows when and how to use what particular style and stance for what fighter.
Yep. All right, let's move on. I quickly want to say thanks to you, Naoya, because you hooked me up with all the links to all the decent fights of the 30th and the 31st. But also, Leon, props to you for your technique about listening to music, or I put on a few, long IFL videos in the background, so I was listening to them while I was watching the fight, so that definitely helped my concentration. But Naoto, let's do it in card with the card schedule. So the other fight I watched on that card was the Yagashi fight. Pretty one-sided boxing schooling, and then got the stoppage in the last round, which I thought was a bit harsh. I don't think Basan was hurt that much, but it was a pretty one-sided fight, really.
I think the ref probably stopped it just because of the overall volume of how many punches Basan was getting hit with, and also just the fact that that was the first time Basan fell straight back. It's almost like when there was before there wasn't as much give to his overall punch resistance. At that point, where it's like he fell straight back, I imagine the ref was thinking the accumulation of damage, like this guy could really seriously get hurt, like a Magomed situation. So it's, I'd imagine that was probably in the back of his mind, because Yagashi gave him a shellacking. He went in there and beat the living hell out of him. Yagashi is almost like a mini Sean Porter. He just comes at you with in and out kind of ambush style, and is just bullying you, bodying you, and he pretty much did that to Basan in a major way. Yagashi had previously been a champion at 112 at flyweight, and then he dropped down to 108 to win the title that he has now. So I think really he's a bit of a physical bully in a lot of senses, and he was doing so in a major way versus Basan, who himself probably should be a 105 fighter, really at his optimal weight class. But at the same time, Basan's only other loss by knockout anyway was to Naoya Inoue, which was in the 11th round. So, a pretty impressive win for Yagashi. But I really see Yagashi right now as probably the weakest of the 108-pound title holders. But at the same time, even saying that, in spite of the fact that he's had kind of a up and down kind of career in terms of on some fights he looks way better than others. He got completely demolished by Gonzalez and Pedro Guevara, but he had a brilliant win over Mendoza in this fight right here versus Basan. It's almost like you never quite know exactly what type of shape he's going to turn up in, and I think that makes him a bit more imminently beatable than the other champions at 108, which we'll get to at least two of the other ones in a few moments. So that's how I see Yagashi.
Okay, let's move on to the card on the Saturday the 31st in Tokyo, the Corrales Uchiyama rematch. Pretty disappointing fight for me, especially the first one was a kind of shootout, the OK Corral. This one was a lot slower in pace. I thought both guys were pretty poor. How did you actually score it? Because I've not really discussed this fight with you.
I scored it, I'm trying to think. If I remember, I think I had it 117 to 110 or 116 to 111, one of those two, where it was basically like an 8-4, 9-3 fight. But there was the extra point for Uchiyama for the knockdown, which really wasn't a knockdown. It was basically their feet were crossed up, and they both threw a slap at each other, but the ref didn't. He was in a bad position, I think, to call the knockdown. He just kind of assumed it happened. But I could see why you were kind of disappointed, because the fight was a bit more sloppy, where by virtue of the fact that they were both very power punch heavy. They were both really loading up heavy on their backhands.
Both missing a lot as well.
Yeah, they were both. I think Uchiyama definitely improved his defenses from the first fight in a major way. So that was good for him. But I think the fact that they were so power punch heavy, it's like as soon as they both threw that same shot at the same time, they were so close to each other that they couldn't help but clinch, and so there was kind of a lot of clinching throughout the entire fight. That said, though, considering the fact that Corrales had never been past 11 rounds before, this was his first 12-round fight against basically the guy that was the best fighter at 130 for the past 4 or 5 years. I thought it was pretty impressive. It shouldn't have been a split decision. I thought Corrales won it pretty clearly. I don't know what the one judge that gave it to Uchiyama was watching, but I thought he did pretty damn well. He showed he's a very awkward guy to fight. He's very good in the southpaw and the orthodox stance. Has power in both hands. Is pretty quick, and his nickname is El Invisible, the invisible. So he's very hard to hit. He lives up to that nickname in a lot of ways. And he has power, he has speed, he has snap, and he's a very unorthodox type of fighter to fight. He's exactly the type of fighter that I had hinted at before that I think would give somebody like Vasyl Lomachenko every issue possible and more. Props to Uchiyama, though, because it did seem like he was able to slow Corrales down in the later rounds with his overall body of work. He landed quite a few shots to Corrales' body, and Uchiyama is a power puncher with both hands himself. So I think he was able to at least wear Corrales down to a certain degree. But Corrales, he showed that he has good conditioning himself, and he was ready for the championship level, and he pulled through. He's that hungry young lion that we were talking about, that we were hinting at before. He's a new champion, and he managed to defend his title and back in enemy territory once again. And I think he's really the man to beat at 130 pounds. So I'm really hopeful to see him fight the other champs in the near future.
It's pretty crazy because I disagree with most of what you just said. Corrales, when he shifts from southpaw to orthodox, he does it quite sloppily. His feet kind of tangle up sometimes. And yeah, I agree with you, that fifth round knockdown, it wasn't really a knockdown because he kind of shifted, kind of made himself square and got caught with a shot on his arm, I think. Actually, I think he didn't even get caught. I think he was throwing his own shot and he put himself off balance and kind of fell backwards. But he didn't really complain to the ref about it, which I was surprised about. Yeah. But he really loops that backhand, as he's trying to step into orthodox. And he
I'd say with the knockdown, both of their arms clashed. And so that's pretty much what put him down. He was in bad balance, and then their arms kind of clashed as they were both throwing the same shot.
And when he is in southpaw, his right hook is very wide, man. Most of his punches are very wide. I agree with the fact that he does throw power punches, and he is kind of fun to watch. He is fun to watch, but I think someone who's got good straight punches, good fundamentals.
But he reminds me of Anselmo Moreno, and you finally saw Moreno really come a cropper at first against Abner Mares, and Mares was that very straight ahead, come right straight at you with straight punches type of fighter, straight compact punches. So I could definitely see that type of fighter being the one to beat him, but I'm not necessarily sure exactly who that's going to be at 130 at the moment anyway. There's a couple maybe, but overall he reminds me a lot of Moreno in his overall style, except I think he has a bit more pop than him.
But yeah, just to the fight, the last 3 rounds really picked up. They were engaging a lot more, and the last 3 were pretty fun to watch. But yeah, the majority of the fight for me was a letdown. Moving on to the other fight on that card that you sent me the link for was the Taguchi Canizales fight.
Yeah, Ryuichi Taguchi versus Carlos Canizales. This was on the undercard of Corrales and Usama. What'd you think? I
just saw that pretty poor decision being at draw. It was a split draw, right? Wasn't it? Yeah, split draw.
Yeah.
I thought Canizales won it, even though his style wasn't the greatest. He was on the back foot a lot, and he was kind of I don't want to use the word running, but yeah, he was consistently on the back foot, let's say. But
yeah, he was a very much stick and move, hit and run.
Yeah, but
style.
I think he was doing a lot better work. Like his punches were landing, where I thought Taguchi was missing quite a lot, and he was kind of chasing him, and he wasn't cutting the ring off. And I didn't actually score that one, but just on the eye test, I thought like Canizales won it, like maybe 2, 3, 4 rounds, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't necessarily complaining with a draw. I thought I was pretty close scoring it, but I really did think that Canizales probably deserved to win it. I had him winning it close, and I felt like even in a close fight that he probably deserved it more than Taguchi, it's unfortunate that he didn't get the decision because I think he probably deserved it. He made Taguchi look really sloppy, a lot more sloppy than I had seen him before. Normally Taguchi's a pretty smooth boxer. Has a good variety to his overall style, but it seemed like he exposed a major flaw in Taguchi in being unable to really cut off the ring against a significantly quicker fighter. Because Canizales had good hand speed, good foot speed, moved around the ring really well.
Yeah, lateral movement was
he had pretty good power too. 13 knockouts and 16 wins. So I mean, and you could see it against Taguchi, even though Taguchi was taking. It almost kind of reminded me of Margarito versus Cotto. Where you could see that Canizales had some serious power, but Taguchi's chin was just so good that he was able to just keep coming forward. And he did manage to actually wobble Canizales on a couple of different occasions. And I think that combined with the fact that I think Canizales started to kind of let off the gas in the mid-rounds, try to, almost like showboat and just kind of cruise, might have cost him the decision overall. He probably could have put the nail in the coffin a bit more in those middle rounds in order to keep everything on the up and up in the later rounds where Taguchi was starting to come on and probably pretty much caught up and saved his belt basically.
Yep. All right, let's
move
on.
I do know that Taguchi's next fight though, his mandatory is actually going to be against the guy that lost a majority decision to Canizales too though. So I mean, hey, we may be able to see a bit of a triangle theory between those two and the next fighter that Taguchi's fighting.
Okay. Let's move on to the other card. How do you pronounce this guy's name? No, it's Aouni versus Jonathan Guzman. Is it Aouni?
Yeah,
Is it
yeah,
Goonie?
yeah. Yeah, you got it right. Yukinori Oguni versus Jonathan Guzman. This was another fight that I think a lot of people were paying attention to, just by virtue of the fact that people have seen Jonathan Guzman on PBC, and a lot of people managed to check out his fight with Shingo Wake. This is probably the biggest upset of the weekend. One of the bigger upsets, probably of the year even. I expected Guzman to win the fight, considering the fact that Oguni's only loss was to the man that Guzman beat to get the title, Shingo Wake. And it was a TKO loss as well. And he was doing pretty well in that fight, but Wake was just able to kind of break him down, outlast him, essentially, and stop him. But here, Aouni versus Guzman, Guzman showed a lot of flaws, especially in that Wake fight, just in his overall skill set and being able to defend while he's attacking. He has that very agility and power-heavy basis for his boxing style. He's used to knocking guys out. He's gotten nothing but knockouts on all of his wins. But Aouni basically just used his height and his reach advantage to an absolute T. Pretty much, like, you could probably show this fight in a boxing class and say, this is how you use your height and reach advantage. Because Aouni was sticking the jab from long distance. He was shooting the left hook, check hooks all day from long distance. And he pretty much controlled the action. Great right hand to the body as well. That's an underused punch. And I think a lot of fighters don't expect it to land, and it lands a lot harder than people expect it to, because most fighters don't throw it. So because most fighters don't throw it, most fighters aren't used to defending that particular punch. And Aouni threw it to such great effect that you saw Aouni, not go Aouni, but you saw Guzman kind of taunt Aouni after he would land those shots. But it was almost like he would stretching his arms out in order to try to ease out, to walk it off, basically, to walk off the pain of the shot that just hit him in the body, because I think he was sapping a lot of Guzman's energy with that shot. And I was just overall impressed with Aouni. He just pretty much gave Guzman a boxing lesson in the fight.
Yeah, Aouni's straight punches were excellent. Like you said, the jab to the head and the straight right to the body. It gave me the first and the second. Guzman came out in the third with more intent. He was trying to back Aouni up with the combinations and getting him off the ropes. Because Aouni was good in the centre of the ring, but as soon as he had his, as soon as he was going backwards in straight lines, or as soon as his back was on the ropes, he didn't look as comfortable. And Guzman looked a lot more confident. But in that third round, just as, towards the end of the round, he got caught with that beautiful, it was like a left uppercut to the solar plexus, and it just chopped Guzman in half, man. That was an excellent punch.
Yeah, he caught him perfectly. It was like and it's funny, because it's like he did that little sidestep, just like you would teach in a boxing class, like when you're hitting the heavy bag. It's like that little sidestep, and then bang, right, almost like what Lamont Peterson did versus, who was it that he was fighting when he did that? It was after the Garcia fight. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but it was pretty much the same type of punch. It's like he sidestepped around a punch that Guzman just threw, and then was perfectly in position to get all of his weight behind that left hook slash uppercut right on the solar plexus, just like you said. Knocked the wind out of Guzman basically. But Guzman, he's a very well conditioned guy himself, and he definitely was able to have some success in certain spurts. When he was able to back Aouni up, but I think it was just way too few and far between for him in pretty much every round, and Aouni controlled the pace by and large, and that's what won him the fight.
Did you score it?
Yeah, I did. I'm trying to think. I think I had it 9 rounds to 3 for Aouni.
I had a bit closer. I had it 114-113, but obviously there was that. Was it 11th round knockdown that wasn't counted? That was some bullshit, because that was on the belt line, and the ref had it as a low blow, on which Guzman milked.
Yeah, that was really bad. That was a perfectly legal blow, because the thing is that he had landed 2 in a row of them. And you could see on the aftermath, you could see that, your navel basically is supposed to be where your belt line is, and you couldn't even see his navel. The belt was probably at least a couple inches above that. So where he actually landed on Guzman was probably right on the belly button. So, that's a perfectly legal shot, really, under anybody's rule books, really, the way it should be anyway.
Yep. All right, let's move on, because these other guys in the Skype chat, I think they're going to start a riot. So, quickly, Ioka versus... how do you pronounce that? Kenso?
Yutana Kainsa versus Kazuo Ioka. Pretty good fight overall. Kainsa managed to drop Ioka. That was actually pretty surprising. At least considering the fact that Ioka was pretty much controlling the fight up until then. But I felt like Kainsa did have a chance because he's well, in spite of the fact that he's only 18 years old, getting his first title shot and everything. He's a precocious fighter, but he's a physically strong guy. Like a lot of Thai fighters tend to typically be, and like sometimes stereotypically, but just he's a very strong fighter, has good punch variety, and just has power on pretty much every shot that he throws. So I think Ioka, considering the fact that Ioka started at 105 and 108, and he had been really just overall more of a physical force at those weights compared to 112. I think 112 for Ioka is almost like 115 is for Gonzalez. He got caught with a big shot and he got dropped. But in spite of that, he managed to get up from that and continue to dictate the action and eventually break Kainsa down and basically expose the overall lack of experience that Kainsa had and stop him. But that I don't think that's really necessarily meant to denigrate Kainsa, though. For being 18 years old and dropping the champ, a long-established champion, one of the top fighters out of Japan the last several years, until Inoue showed up, I think is a pretty big accomplishment in itself. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him come up with another title in the next maybe even the next year, if not next few years, and manage to get one himself. So good fight, good performance from Ioka in spite of the fact that he was dropped. And he showed a bit of give, and he kind of showed what the flyweight division probably has become a bit more so, considering Gonzalez and Quadros has left. It's a bit more wide open. We may see anybody, and any one of these guys could potentially be the top fighter between him, Zhou Shiming, Donny Nietes, Naopan, Kaikana, Juan Chiritos, Hernandez, and possibly Kose Tanaka, who we'll talk about in a second, if he ever moves up, which I'm sure he probably will.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Just to add, though, Ioka's body work was a key to victory. Just after those the second round where he was dropped, and he got hit with a similar right hand in the end of the third round as well, and it was just basically him having his left hand low after he's let his own shots off. But yeah, he started to just break Canensa down with the body work, and he's got a beautiful left hook to the body, and yeah, it was a decent scrap, that one. But just moving on to the last one.
One of his nicknames was the body snatcher, Ioka. So I mean, he definitely lives up to that.
Yep. And just that last fight that you sent me, the Tanaka versus Moises Fuentes on the 31st. Quickly, your thoughts on that before Chemo murders us?
Tanaka had the performance of the weekend. He's a true breakout star. I expected Fuentes to win this fight. Fuentes had been a long experienced champion, ended Ivan Calderon's career, and I know Chemo knows who Ivan Calderon is. One of his favorite fights between him and Segura. After Segura beat him, Fuentes finished him. He took his whole soul away. And he was an experienced champion. He had a draw with Donny Nietes after their first fight, had beaten a couple of champions himself, like Rodriguez and Novoa, had knocked out the likes of Luis De La Rosa, who went the full distance against Zhou Shiming. And he was a very dangerous fighter, to be one of the most dangerous fighters you could imagine going up against for a vacant title for Tanaka. And Tanaka is a guy that had a lot of trouble against fighters at 105. But I think, considering everything, his troubles at 105 were probably more to him draining himself too much, because Tanaka looked like an entirely different fighter here with the extra 3 pounds against Fuentes. He was fast, he was quick, he was sharp, he was snappy. He showed a lot of skills in there. He looked almost like Naoya Inoue had looked when he kind of first burst onto the scene at 108. And, only 8 fights. He's already a 2-weight champion, 5 knockouts. And he says that before it's all said and done, he wants to win titles in 5 different weight classes. So he may be a guy in the near future to be a true rival for Naoya Inoue, a domestic rival and just an overall elite worldwide rival, potentially. And he already basically called out unifications with the other champs at 108. He said he wants to immediately fight either Akira Higashi or Ryuichi Taguchi, who both of them we just talked about. And honestly, I would favor Tanaka over both of them. And I'd favor him probably over everybody at 108, except for maybe Ganigan Lopez, the WBC champ, or Pedro Guevara, who's Lopez's chief rival for the WBC. They have a bit of a triangle issue going on with the two of them, and they'll probably rematch fairly soon here. And then even at 112, I'd probably favor Tanaka over just about everybody at 112 as well, depending how Kaikana looks against Hernandez in the WBC vacant title bout.
Yeah, just from my thoughts, just a one-sided beatdown. Really impressed with Tanaka. Not seen him before, but Fuentes, he just took a beating, man. He was just going back in straight lines, getting caught with clean shots, hands too low, and very good performance from Tanaka.
Yeah.
All right.
Tanaka did what Canizales probably should have done against Taguchi, because Taguchi and Fuentes have a similar style, but Tanaka did the job and he finished it, and that's a big part of the reason why I favor him over Taguchi. I think that his style is like pretty much like Canizales, but with just bigger, faster, stronger, and he'll be able to get the job done.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Naoto. Kimo is happy now we've ended that Japanese discussion.
Jesus Christ, man! Was Bob Sheridan commenting on any of these fights?
Probably.
Otherwise, it's not worth it, man. Seriously.
If there's no
hardcore helmets.
Stop hating. Just because your missus don't let you watch it, don't hate on us.
I know.
Yeah. You gotta be blaming yourself when you see. You gotta blame yourself when you see Tanaka in the pound for pound top 10 in a year, man.
Now, so I blame myself for everything I do, and so does my wife.
Yeah. All right, let's get into reviewing and giving some awards for 2016. Kimo, I'll start with you. Category Fight of the Year. Some of your nominees.
Oh, man. Actually, just kind of related to that, this year is kind of funny because it seems that as an overall year for boxing, it wasn't that good. Like, there were a lot of missed opportunities. But somehow we did get a lot of good scraps. Like, there were quite a lot of good wars. So that's on a positive note, since people always say that we're a bunch of miserable cunts.
Which we are.
There were actually a lot of good fights. I got a little list here, so let's you guys obviously have some overlap with this, but let's just run through it. So Salido Vargas is definitely a nominee for me.
Yep.
It was just a fucking war. Really enjoy watching it. And I always judge it by, the amount of times that I rewatched it, and I definitely did rewatch it quite a few times. I kind of missed drama though in that fight. Apart from one or two rounds, neither guy were like really hurt. No knockdowns.
The chins were too good.
No one was on Queer Street, were they? No one was in danger.
Salido was a little bit.
No one went though. No one went to the dance.
There was a lack of drama. The only
drama
there was
much
really
shifts and tide. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's one of them. I think Gonzalez Cuadras deserves to be in there just because it was a great fucking fight.
Hell yeah.
Like, high level shit.
High level
shit.
Leonard versus Duran. The highest level.
Leonard versus Duran. The highest level, the highest pace possible. You can't ask for more.
I think that's the highest level fight of the year.
Yeah.
Skill on skill. Might not be the best fight of the year, but skill on skill.
I think Frampton and Santa Cruz also deserves a mention. I mean, another high-level still fight between two great guys, top three guys. And they went at it, I was surprised by watching that fight how much they were willing to put on the line, especially Frampton, because he played it so safe against Quigg. And he really, really put it on Santa Cruz, he let his hands fucking go. And I think
they both came out the gate.
Yeah, but Quigg's a Lego munching bum, isn't he? So, for fuck's sake, he's a fucking...
that's why you should have beat him up more.
He's a fucking bag of chips, isn't he? Bag of chips, 60p. Fucking nonsense.
You can't get a bag of chips for 60p anywhere these days.
Well, you used to be able to, probably in his, I don't know, maybe.
When you were at high school.
So those are kind of the the more skilled, like, enjoyable fights. I think even though it was not, as maybe as grand and as epic as the ones before, I think, and don't hate me for this, Leon, but I think Charlo versus J-Rock.
I have no issue with that.
Yeah,
I think it's that skill level. Yeah,
not only that, but it had a conclusive ending too, like that you'd love to see in Fight of the Year candidates.
Do you know what? I think if it's not Fight of the Year, that's, I don't know if it's a that we mentioned, but like for performance or come out performance of the year, I think that's well up there. Charlo,
I mean, after
a lot of people could see it, but maybe I didn't see it. I didn't see that in him, and he surprised me. I'm glad to be surprised.
After struggling with Trout, you wouldn't expect something that explosive from him.
I mean, that's the best. I mean, that defense into that uppercut was a thing of beauty. I mean, that might be the best purest moment of boxing the whole year, to catch those punches and then fucking ice the guy. Yeah.
You know what it is? You know what it is, Leon? This fight, also because it's kind of short, this is a fight that I would show to anybody that asked me, why the fuck do you watch boxing? I would show this.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting because I think a lot of fights of the year are long fights, right? And
Yeah,
people,
I mean,
I like short fights. I like a fight.
you saw J
Something
Rock
over
get
in
dropped.
5 rounds.
You saw J Rock get dropped in the same round, like momentarily stun Charlo right back in the same round. You know, you saw them both landing clear, clean punches.
Well,
I mean, shit, you saw the animosity between them after the fact. I mean, just the drama and excitement. Damn it,
but you know that round, second round where J Rock got dropped, I scored that 9-9 because I thought he won that round afterwards.
Yes.
So I mean, that's a high level fight if that's happening.
Yeah, it was really brilliant, and also just great like example in the sport, you know, like a guy like J Rock who wants to step up, put it on the line, and these are just two like fucking good looking athletes as well, man. They were in shape, they were so skilled in there, both of them, you know. It's just really good, but at the same time, even though they're really skilled, and somebody's giving some feedback, guys. At the same time, they were both really skilled, but they were throwing bombs in there, you know, and it just throws away that whole stereotype that some of these fucking boxing fans have, that you need to, in order to look skilled, you know, you kind of need to be shoe shining off the back foot. That's not true. These guys are probably more skilled than 80% of other boxers.
And that they have to be boring fights.
Exactly, and it's not. It doesn't have to be like that, you know. These guys were putting it on the line, and especially Charlo, even though I fucking hate his guts, you know, like he was throwing bombs as well, man. He was putting his skill in there, but also his power, man. He was going for it.
Yeah, because I mean, when you get guys at the high level, like really, what you more often than not, really, what you're going to see is truly a fight of the year candidate, because they're pushing themselves to beyond where they've really pushed themselves before, and there's not as much flaw in either of them where, you know, there's like a lot of holes in between where there's action. You know, if there's an opening and there's a counterpunching opportunity, you take it. If you're the highest skill level, you take it, and you're capitalizing on it every single time. And that's pretty much what both of them did.
Yeah, truly great fight.
That's what fun fights are made of.
Yeah, man, and I think it definitely deserves to be up there. It might be overlooked by some people because it's not an all-out brawl, but I think it definitely deserves to be up there.
And I think it reminds me of Williams Martinez 1.
You know what? That's a good comparison, actually. I'm kind of agreeing with you on that, even though that lasted a lot longer. But I think
Lomachenko.
The what?
Walters Lomachenko.
That was a shit ass fight.
Hell of a year.
Yeah. I think Walters might get another award later on that me and Leon will be presenting.
He's on my list anyway.
I bet.
The J Rock Charlo isn't fight of the year, but it was the most enjoyable, entertaining 3 rounds for me. So for me, it's my fight of the year, not necessarily because of the back and forth, like the Vargas Toledo. I think that's a consensus fight of the year for most people. And to tell you the truth, I got kind of bored of that fight after 6-7 rounds, just because none of the damage that either of them was doing to each other wasn't that substantial, you know. And I'm not quite sure if it's because they both have great chins or whether their punch, I guess just the oomph they were releasing with their punches started declining over the rounds. But that wasn't my fight of the year.
I'd say they have more chin than power, basically. The chin to power ratio was off in that fight, so that's a big part of the reason why you didn't see the big shifts in tide as you might have with some of these other fights.
No, I also think both of them got a bit slappy at times as well, so they weren't really turning up their punches.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say that maybe this year wasn't the candidates for fight of the year wasn't that as impressive as previous years?
Fuck off with your negativity. We're all team positive.
I think this year was significantly better than 2015. I think we had way more fight of the year candidates this year than we did in 2015 by far. Because I can name a bunch of other fights that Kimo didn't even name. A bunch of cruiserweight fights. There was what was his name? Yunie Doricos versus Yuri Kalenga. That was
the one in Paris.
Fight.
That was a great fight.
Yeah.
Great fight.
Yeah, that was an incredible fight. That was like a street fight, man. Let me see.
I wasn't done yet, I know. I still have a few on my list, by the way.
Get on with it then, you fucking bum.
Yeah. Anselmo Moreno against Yamanaka, I think, was a great fucking fight.
Commentary of the year. Giving it to that one.
We can't start inserting fucking categories into like mid-category.
That's true. But actually, you know what? For me, and this might be a bit personal, but I don't think any of you will agree with me. But one of the fights that I probably rewatched the most, and that's why I'm going to give it fight of the year for me personally, is Antoine Douglas against Kurt Sietze, man. That was a fucking brawl, and I absolutely loved the style clash. I thought it was a great fucking fight, and I really, really enjoyed it, and it had a dramatic finish. And it was, Kurt Sietze was like just a complete underdog taking the fight, and he fucking did it. And there was this great corner moment where they were asking him for
Tyson.
like, give me the Brava, and he fucking went for it, man. Give me the Mike Tyson, and he finished him off. I thought it was a great fight. Definitely in my top 3, maybe even number 1, actually. And what else have I got? Yeah, Robert Easter versus Richard Comey was a decent one. We had Eggington versus Gavin was okay. And I'm just going to put it in there as well. Eubank Jr. versus Nick Blackwell was a fucking brawl. And I enjoyed that as well. I like some violence. And last but not least, we had Juanma Lopez against Vasquez Jr., which was epic. That was 2 fights.
I think that was World Star moment of the year.
Yeah.
Probably the most enjoyable 30 seconds of boxing in my lifetime.
I think you kind of understated how good Easter versus Comey was, though, because that fight was right up on the balance all the way until the last round. And if you want to talk about, Salido versus Vargas lacking the shifts and tide, you saw that every bit with Easter versus Comey. Easter pretty much saved and got that win with that last round display of rocking the hell out of Comey. That was incredible dramatic stuff. And really a lot of fun. I think really the main thing that hurts that is the fact that I think Denis Shavakov managed to decision Comey a bit more clearly than Easter did. So that kind of puts a slight downer on it. But I didn't hear you mention Thurman Porter.
Well, because I'm extremely biased towards it. This was my first fight in the States to go see live. So obviously I was going fucking crazy. But having watched it later on TV, it wasn't as good as the other fights I've named. It was a great fight, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I'm just too biased towards it, man. That whole being there in the Barclays and feeling the atmosphere and everything. I went crazy with every punch. I mean,
you're all pumped up because you met Peter Quillen at the Boxing Voice thing, so you're all pumped up, weren't you?
Dude, not only did I meet Peter Quillen, Lim, who was that other guy that Segback introduced us to? Was it Willie Monroe?
Willie Monroe, the goose.
The worm. You met the worm.
The wrong goose.
Yeah.
Highlights.
Bro, I was
in the gyms.
After meeting Peter Quillen, I just got a new outlook on life. I called like my sister who I haven't talked to in 6 years and said like, I love you. Like I just changed my entire outlook on life and I'm just a better man for it. Peter Quillen really gave me a purpose in life. So shout out to Big Bro, man. That's Big Bro to me.
Leon, so that's pretty much my list, guys. I don't know if you want to.
Leon, have you got anything that Chemo hasn't mentioned?
There's a Jamie Conlon versus who was the kid he fought?
Anthony Nelson.
That's the one for me.
Yeah, that was incredible too.
That was a great fight. I mean, it's lower level, but we're not really judging levels, are we? We're judging fights, and that was great. Yeah. And me and Chemo both know, but that last Boy Jones Jr. fight against that kid who wouldn't quit, that was a fucking epic war, man. That was an epic war, man. Yeah, that kid had no quitting in though, did he? That guy was fighting for a Southern area title, getting the fucking living shit beat out of him. On the same night, fucking Walters quits on fucking nothing. You know what I mean? That's the difference. Yeah. We want to see the kid who's a warrior like that, Yeah.
Anything else on your list that Chemo didn't mention?
Nah, Chemo covered it all, man.
Yeah. Yo, did you guys agree with me about Douglas Kurtzica, or was it not as enjoyable?
That was a good fight, man. Do you know what?
No, it was a great fight.
There was a lot of good fights this year. For something that was an average year, it feels like an average year. I think we're quite bitter, aren't we, boxing fans? But it was a reasonably good year, average year. And I think the fights were good, man. There was good fights.
there was a lot of promises that we were proposed, especially at the heavyweight division in particular, that we didn't get. And so that's, I think, what put a dark cloud, a dark shadow over the year as a whole. But as far as like just below the super mainstream, glossy level, and welterweight as well, just below that super mainstream glossy level, we had incredible fights in a lot of different divisions.
And I think that's the interesting thing. I think that's the thing about that J-Rock and Charlo fight, because that was a division that a lot of people had no time for, and they put that division back on the map with that kind of fight.
It got
and
a lot more
exciting. I think welterweight, all the glamorous divisions, welterweight, fuck all really. Middleweight was a fucking joke, wasn't it? And that's everyone's to blame for that. I mean, that was a complete joke. Super middleweight did very little. There was there was Ward versus Kovalev, but that's too divisive to talk about.
Yeah. But outside of Ward Kovalev, we didn't necessarily have incredible
top guys
fights at light heavyweight.
No top guys.
One thing that came to my mind actually was another one was Adonis Stevenson against Thomas Williams Jr. Man, that was a kind of a fun brawl as well. You had a lot of these random fights on with no promotion whatsoever, and then they just turn out to be quite enjoyable. It's very strange.
Yeah,
I'm with you as well, Kimo, and you can't really say it, but that Nick Blackwell Eubank fight was good, wasn't it? Because Blackwell, for whatever happened, he was right in that fight trying to make it. And it was
exciting,
nuts,
but it was too one-sided for me to be fight of the year.
No, not fight of the year, but I'm saying there was more good fights than we think we were giving this year credit for.
No, that's fair. Just quickly on your point,
we should go
with Kurt Sedes. I kind of agree, because I think I told you about that fight. I said, okay, well, you got to watch this fight, and then you got a HD link and downloaded it. But
HD.
I think a lot of us boxing fans just have a short memory. We kind of forget what happened early in the year, and the majority of our memorable fights are from August onwards. So that does tend to happen, I think.
Yeah, the drugs get in the way of the boxing fans.
Lim, any on your list that Kimo and Leon have not mentioned?
No, I think they mentioned 15 more than what was on my list. So.
But we have no winner. We haven't got to a winner yet, have we?
Yeah, we need to go around the table.
No, we can't. I don't think you can give winners because it's subjective.
Yeah, exactly.
Winners. Come on.
No, but that's what I'm saying. We could each have our own individual.
Yeah, that's what at the end. I'm going to go around and get everyone's own fight of the year. But Neo, to quickly, any fights that they've not mentioned on your list?
Well, damn. I think they pretty much mentioned them all. I mentioned, mine especially, the two, the Kalinga Doricos. I think that was probably the reason why I like mentioning that one in particular too is because to Kimo's point, that almost exemplifies exactly what we were just talking about. Some of these fights that really didn't have promotion. This is obscure fight for a WBA interim cruiserweight title. I mean, just putting all those words together, it sounds like what the fuck you watching that shit for? But it turned out to be an incredible fight and exactly the type of fight that you show to casual fans. Be like, this is why I watch boxing, because incredible stuff like this happens. Fantastic fight overall.
Okay.
But all the fights that he mentioned were just fun as hell to watch.
Yeah, you guys.
Don't be talking to casuals. Don't be having casuals around your house, telling them about shit. They're the worst.
Did we have a fight of the year last year?
I'm sure we did.
I mean, do you guys remember or recall?
I know you picked Canelo Kirkland.
Oh, no. I'm being serious. So I just want to use it kind of as a benchmark. Do you guys remember what the census fight of the year last year was?
I can't remember Christmas, mate.
Just Google it quickly.
Just quickly, from the list that you guys are given, only one that I've...
Vargas Miura.
Yeah, that was
2015.
Yeah, that was
I guess what I'm trying to say is that maybe this year, maybe there were better fights than there were last year, which is, I think, a testament to the year being better. But maybe last year, there's just a more obvious choice, whereas this year,
yeah, Vargas Miura was the obvious choice because the right behind it was Matisse Provodnikov. So there you go.
No way, that was a fight of the year. What the fuck?
Wasn't Matisse John Molina in the same year as well? That was better than the Provodnikov fight.
I think that was the year before.
Yeah,
that might have been 2014.
14. But just quickly, a fight that you guys had mentioned that was a good scrap. Chisora White.
Puddings, two fat puddings.
Fair enough, but I think Kimo did mention Eggington Gavin was a really good fight as well. That was one of my highlights.
Two skinny puddings.
That was good.
But yeah, just go around.
White pudding versus pudding.
Yeah, just going around, and my personal fight of the year was Conlon Nelson. Just a great scrap, back and forth. Both guys hurt, both guys down, and it had a conclusion, which I always like. Leon, your personal fight of the year?
Frampton Santa Cruz, because that's the fight I stopped scoring in the last 3 or 4 rounds because I was on the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kimo, personal fight of the year?
You know what? I'm just gonna go with what I said. I think Douglas against Corrales just kind of sums up what I enjoy most about boxing, and that might make me sound like a fucking sadist, but I love it when you have a Cotto Margarito type of fight where one guy's will gets broken. I think that is some of the most dramatic shit that you can see in the ring, and I fucking love when that happens, man. Regardless of whether I'm rooting for the guy or not, it's just. That's just the definition of epic for me, and it shows the kind of grit that boxers have, in order to overcome, punishment after punishment in each round, and then you keep on going at the guy, and then you just fucking break him. I mean, it's just incredible. So my pick's gonna go to Antoine Douglas and Corrales.
Dan, your personal fight of the year?
Frampton Santa Cruz for me, highest level. Probably not the amount of exchanges back and forth as some of the other fights, but for me, I always put skill level at the precedent. So that was by far, I think, to me, the most intriguing fight, and then the reason why I'm not mad at a rematch at all, which is actually like something that I usually really hate. I like the Linares Corolla fight, for example. I have no idea why they're doing a rematch, but for Santa Cruz Frampton, I'm totally fine with it.
Yep. Naoya?
Gonzalez Cuadras. I mean, the boxing at the very highest level, that was an all-time great level fight to me. That's why I say it reminds me of Leonard versus Duran. Gonzalez was a mini Duran. Cuadras was a mini Leonard. Incredible fight, high pace. Neither of them slowed up pretty much at all, especially Cuadras. His level of conditioning and stamina was extremely impressive. It's been years since I've seen a fighter with that type of a gas tank. And Gonzalez, managed to win his 4th title in a 4th weight. There's a very small list of fighters that have managed to actually do that. And there was only one other fighter that managed to win 105 to 115. And he did that with a whole hell of a lot of losses on his record. Gonzalez did it undefeated. And then just the overall pace of that fight, it never slowed down. It was an incredible fight. Got both two guys at an extremely high skill level with very disparate styles that brought out a whole lot of different things in each other. I've never seen Gonzalez really push to the physical limit like that, and I didn't know that Cuadras had the level of ability that he had. Because before, it seemed like he was just so fast. He was too fast for anybody else to keep up with him. But Gonzalez pushed him and brought out the incredible gifts that he has. So, King J, Cuadras could have won that fight, but he didn't.
King J's watched it for the 70th time. Scored it 12-0. Okay, let's move on. Kimo, your list for fighter of the year.
Oh, man. I actually had only one name because I just think that this person deserves it just for the sheer accomplishments and just...
Boy Jones Jr.
No. He's getting an award, but he's getting another award. He's not getting the Fighter of the Year award. I think
Fighter of the Decade.
Yeah.
Sexiest fighter of the year.
But I think Joe Smith, man. I think being such an underdog in 2 of these big fights.
Fuck off, Steve Kim.
No, man. I think the guy fucking deserves it, man. I mean, who else would you give it to?
Wait, what award is this?
I think your parameters are different. I think there's one thing where it's like not comeback or like what you achieve in
I don't understand it.
Relative. Your relativity, you know what I mean? Like, I understand, like, from point A to point B, he probably made the biggest jump, because obviously he was a union worker for crying out loud, but for me, it's Frampton.
Yeah, I still think Frampton...
To the level.
Are you talking about fighter?
Come on. This is almost like an achievement award, I feel like, the way that the parameters that you're operating under right now.
Yeah, but Quick's a straight bum, man.
Yeah, I can't give it to Frampton, especially considering
he shit the bed versus Quake.
No. To be fair though, like going into that
He
fight,
beat
a
him
lot of people.
decisively, and then he beat the.
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
Dan.
What?
Go ahead,
Go
Kim.
on. Go on, Dan.
You'll explain it better, Kim. Go for it. No. You go for it, Kim.
I don't know if my point's the
And then
same
I'll
as
follow
yours.
you afterwards.
I don't know if my point's the same as
It
yours,
is.
Dan, but
It is.
a lot of people saw that fight 50-50 beforehand, and some people were picking Quigg, so you can't say afterwards, well, Quigg's a bum, because it was a competitive fight going into it.
You can't say that Quigg's a bum because some fucking load of muppets picked him. Can you?
I mean,
I'm not being bad. I
honestly,
mean, the guy
though,
did fuck all, man.
Like, as far as skill level, that was a fight at a pretty fucking low skill level, if I'm being frank, but him and Quigg. And that's not to say that they don't have skills. They obviously fucking do. But the fight itself was just awful. And it showed a lot of flaws in both of them.
But my
Quigg's
point is,
flaws
he followed it up with fighting the best guy at the next weight division, arguably.
Yeah, but does that give him fighter of the year?
In a close
Well,
fight.
what's the
It was a close
competition?
fight. That was a close fight, man. People
He
scored
arguably
that.
lost that fight too. Crawford's competition for him. I mean, Crawford dominated a guy that was supposed to be 50-50 against him.
Okay, let's go through my list. The list I've compiled: Frampton, Crawford, Lomachenko, Pacquiao, Ward, Chocolito, and Joe Smith Jr. Okay,
How is Ward in there, dude?
well, you have to say, he fought three times. One,
Because of Jesus. Jesus loves him.
two
Can I
against.
just make one point as well? Isn't it somewhat similar to Frampton's case then? In that he went up the next weight division and he beat the best guy at that weight division in a very arguably close fight. On paper,
Yeah, I mean,
isn't it the same thing?
Yeah, it's similar to Frampton. Although, I mean, I'd say Barrera did more than Quigg did after the fact, and really,
Right,
I guess
so then
going
your
against
favorite Ward, your favorite Ward over Frampton.
No, that's favoring Ward, but also favoring
Yeah.
Frampton. Though I'd say the Frampton Santa Cruz fight was a closer, arguable win for Frampton than Ward Kovalev was.
Well,
If I could just give my argument to this, right? If I look at Frampton, I see he was in a big fight versus Quigg, and he beat Quigg, which is, and I'm never going to say that Quigg's a bum because I said that fight would be close, and I still think it was relatively close in the later rounds because Quigg was coming on. But the overall performance from Frampton wasn't impressive to me. Yeah, a lot of us were pissed off after that fight because we really didn't see, and it's not about seeing action, it's about seeing excellence, right? And I didn't really see excellence in that fight. I think Frampton was quite lazy in that fight. He didn't really want to do anything else apart from just, jabbing a little bit in the first rounds. And in the later rounds, Quigg was definitely winning. So that to me was not a fighter of the year performance. Now, moving up in weight and beating Leo Santa Cruz, very impressive. Very impressive. And he looked fantastic. I just said that already during the fight of the year segment. But if you think about it, then it's like, okay, he moved up in weight, +1. He beat a top guy like Santa Cruz, +1. But if you compare it to what Joe Smith did, who was such an underdog, and I know it might be trendy that a lot of people are saying Joe Smith, but it is what it is. Like, the dude was a fucking underdog, and he ices both guys that he was significantly picked against, and he broke out. The world is his oyster now. He can do whatever he wants in that division. I think he did more impressive and shocking things than Frampton did.
Yeah, giant underdog, and he world starred both guys.
Do you know what?
I mean,
do you know what it comes down to?
You bring up good points. But it's for no. Go ahead, man.
What it comes down to is I don't think anyone has put themselves as a clear front runner to be fighter of the year.
Yep.
I don't feel there's anyone, because you say Pacquiao, you look at Pacquiao's wins, and they are on paper the two best wins. But I don't feel comfortable saying he's the fighter of the year. I don't feel comfortable saying anyone has gone above and beyond the next person to be fighter of the year.
Personally, I think there's two guys that I would favor over everybody else's fighter of the year for reasons that even go outside of the skill level and who they beat during the year, but also kind of things, I guess, outside the ring to a certain degree. And that's Gonzalez and Naoya Inoue. Inoue, because of the fact that he fought.
No surprise there.
No, but it's what they did. I mean, I'm not fucking throwing Tanaka in there, and if I wanted to be a dick and just favor small guys, I could. But
Three would
Inoue
be way
fought
too much.
Inoue fought number one contender David Carmona, number one contender Karun Jarupian pretty much shut out Carmona, or well, I mean came close to it, and then annihilated Jarupian, and then fought Koei Kono, who, like I said, the whole thing with Solis, that puts him at a very, very high level. Inoue ices him, and so that's three top fighters outside of the belt holders at 115 pounds. He dominated. Those were dominant performances. There was no question that he won them. He dominated. Gonzalez with the fourth weight class, fighting at the very highest level against Quadros, managed to get the victory. I think primarily what hurts Gonzalez is somewhat of the lackluster performance in the Arroyo fight. But still, that was a top-level guy who probably should have beat I'm Not Roy Wrong. And I thought he should have beat him. Anybody that watches that fight, really, Arroyo got jobbed against Roy Wrong. So that really could have been the number one versus number two guy at flyweight, then the number one versus number 3 or 2 guy at super flyweight. So, I mean, I think that puts him at a very high level. I'd even give I wouldn't put him necessarily at the top at quite as high as those two, but I put Yamanaka pretty high up there too, because he also defeated Liborio Solis, who beat the shit out of Jamie McDonald, beat his ass and got robbed. And then that was one of the robbery of the years. And then his knockout of Anselmo Moreno, who the only other fighter that Moreno had lost to was Adam Navarez, who was a pound for pounder a few years back. So that's a big accomplishment for Yamanaka.
All right, let me jump in.
We're gonna start our own podcast. Just Japanese fighters only.
The little guys.
Time bandits.
We don't
Time
have
bandits.
Dan,
Dan,
I want to talk to you about Crawford. Top rank, and their people were pushing Crawford hard for Fighter of the Year. For me personally, no. Yeah. The Postal fight was a big letdown, even though it was a pretty dominant victory. The fight was pretty poor overall. The fight
that's winning of the year, though.
The fight with Lundy, no one really cared about Lundy, and the fight with John Molina, who cares? So fair enough, he fought 3 times. He was active, but I don't think in all the level of opponents with as high. Obviously, Postal, unification.
That's winning the year, man. That's winning the year. Individual fight, winning the year.
Nah.
That's exactly why.
It is, man. It fucking
that's
is.
Exactly why
he dominated the second best guy and made him look like a fucking fool.
This award is so difficult, especially this year of all years. Again, like I think Kimo probably makes the strongest argument in terms of trying to advocate for Joe Smith Jr. But for me, it's just like I feel like so much of that pick is predicated on where he was starting, where his base point was compared to where he ended, which is fantastic. But the guys that were, I think, more leaning towards already were at a much higher level to begin with. So that's why maybe we're leaning towards certain guys. But I should agree with Leon. Like, if it isn't Crawford's win over Postol, who is it then, Cam? Like, what is the best win of the year? Is it Charlo over J-Rock?
Yeah, because I think that's the thing. I think the fighter of the year is a moot point because I don't think there's anyone clear enough. So it's like we have to go for the win of the year.
Well,
and if it comes to win of the year,
hold on, let him. Come on, we gotta let each other finish our point.
Win of the year is Crawford, which potentially makes him fighter of the year. I just don't think there's enough.
I agree.
It's not clear enough to be fighter of the year. There's no fighter of the year for me this year.
Because that fight was 50-50 going into it. Yeah, I don't care what
I picked Postal, man.
You picked Postal, man. Kimo picked Postal.
I picked Postal.
There were plenty of other guys who picked Postal. You know,
and L's all over the place.
But to tell you the truth, though, like I think Cam does bring up maybe not a legitimate point, but his opposition at both prior and after the fact have just been ass. So that makes it really hard for me to kind of definitively pick him as fighter of the year as well. And also, I mean, we're probably going to discuss this later, but his fucking $7 million demand guaranteed over Pacquiao also puts kind of a negative light on just my opinion of Crawford. But that's neither here nor there.
I think Leon, you probably made the best point in this whole discussion, and then there's a lack of guys that have really been consistently great this year. So it does become a bit difficult to kind of pick one guy specifically, and maybe that's why Joe Smith is kind of at the top, because the guys that he's finished. I mean, one was almost ready for a retirement home, and the other guy was good, but nothing special. And it's like you say, Crawford really had the big defining win that propelled him to the next level, at least in terms of skill and achievement.
I think there was 3 fights that were maybe 4 fights that were clear best guys. That's War Kovalev, Chocolatito Cuadras, maybe Frampton, Santa Cruz, and Postal Crawford. And who did the best job? Crawford. That's the best win of the year for me. Easy.
Yeah, he outclassed the guy. He made him look like he doesn't belong in the same ring with him.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas the other guys did not do that.
And ironically, almost too much so. You know, he was on such a different level that he made it look boring. And I think it honestly
he diminished
had
his
a
own
negative
win,
impact
didn't he?
on his career.
He diminished his own win by being that
it was
not
like
happy with that.
it was like that Roy Jones
tell you
lyric.
that much.
You know, they say I beat nobody, I just make them look like nobody. That's exactly what Terence Crawford did. He made him look like a nobody in the
But
aftermath.
honestly, it was kind of his fault too, because the last 2-3 rounds of the fight, he was doing nothing. He was just dancing in there. But oh well.
All right. Just two other fighters I want people's opinion on. Leon touched on Manny before, and I feel the same way. Yeah, Bradley's, a top welterweight, but we've seen that fight before. Vargas, I've never rated him. So even though he beat two, one high-level welterweight, one decent-level welterweight, it's not enough for me to be fighter of the year.
I agree with you, Cam. I think the opposition, and I rate fucking Bradley, man. I rate him really, really high, but you can't really give that much merit if you fought him already twice, and you dominated all the other fights. So I agree with you. Pac's not really in there, but he has proved that at his age, it's fucking incredible what he's still capable of. I mean, yes, they might be slightly, strategic picks as well, because neither of these guys are big punchers. I don't care what anybody says about Vargas.
He's still the best guy at 147, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still incredible.
He's number one.
Yeah, he's still incredible for what he does. But if we think about the overall landscape, there's Vargas is at the bottom of the list that I want to see guys who face Pac. I want to see him against fucking Thurman or Garcia or AB or anybody. But again, there's a lot of missed opportunities this year, and whether it's the politics or not, man, when I think about fucking Pacquiao Thurman, I get excited, man. Those would be some incredible wars, but yeah, it's not going to happen, is it?
Anyone else got thoughts on Pac? Nope. All right.
As fighter of the year, you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, his accomplishments aren't terrible, but I mean, I think everybody else kind of overshadows it with kind of where they were and where they kind of led to. I'd rate him lower than than Frampton, Crawford, the others that were mentioned.
Okay, Dan, Lomachenko for fighter of the year, pros and cons.
I'm sorry, guys. I just stepped into the gym, so I really did. I'm at the wild card right now. Name drop. But honestly, I think with Lomachenko, it's just a matter of his opposition not stepping up to the plate. And obviously with Walters, I feel like, I know this is probably not fair, but the fact that Walters didn't step up to the plate to that extent makes it very, very difficult for me to not pick him. So that's all.
Lim's about to take another L for the wild card tonight, just by walking in, tripping over.
As always.
Yeah.
Come on, Freddie, coach your way out of that one.
Like if Walters was on his A game, I think Lomachenko definitely could have won it, because he did go up to 130 and got that belt, obviously, and then he fought another guy who we thought was going to be his toughest fight to date, but obviously that wasn't the case.
Anyone else got a view on Lomachenko?
I think Martinez isn't really that great of a
hater.
Win. The Walters win is just. I mean, it's bad considering the fact that Walters looked like ass in the fight, and also the fact that really he probably should have been fighting the guy that Vargas is going to be fighting up next, Miguel Berchelt, because that was his mandatory. That was Martinez's mandatory, matter of fact, and they both ducked him. So I can't give a fight of the year to him just based off of that. It's almost like the Frampton Rigondeaux thing. That's what it kind of reminds me of. And that's not even necessarily just against Lomachenko, because I could bring up a bunch of other shit that I have against Lomachenko. But that's specifically in relation to his opposition. I don't think his opposition was as good as it could have been and should have been.
All right. Dan's dropped off to go hit some bugs at the wild card. So, Chemo.
Cam, quickly.
Go ahead.
Domestic fighter of the year to get a bit, British on it.
To be honest, I don't really think about it, so you're gonna have to give me a list.
I have, and this is a big climb down for me. But Bradley Skeet is a domestic British fighter of the year. He is, man. He put a schooling on fucking Eggington, didn't he? That is the best domestic. Like that was a domestic 50-50, and he beat him fucking hands down.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll probably need
That's
to
for you,
think.
Mr.
I think I need to think about it.
Nunez.
Before we give Skeet a award, I'll have to think about it a bit more. But Chemo, your personal fighter of the year?
Man. It is a difficult one. I mean, you talked about Lomachenko before, and I've got the same problem with him, like Naoya said, as with Frampton, that there's really one signature win. And, Joe Smith has got 2 signature wins by dramatic fashion. So I'm going to give it to him, man. I'm going to give it to him. It might be a bit cliche, but he had the biggest accomplishments for me. So
nice. Leon, your personal fighter of the year?
No one. Not about any disrespect. Just there was a lot of good fighters, and no one did enough to clearly put themselves in front.
I can respect that. Naoya, yours?
For me, I'd probably just edge it to Inoue for the reasons that I said before. 3 top-level defenses. I think those are better defenses than what Crawford did overall, and he won them so conclusively and clearly. And that's really what you want out of a fighter, for him to fight his basically top contenders, even if they weren't necessarily the elite. They weren't Gonzalez or Cuadras, but he destroyed them. And even against Carmona, even though that was a bit of a tougher fight, he managed to win that conclusively and clearly. That was like a De Gale versus Porky Medina type fight, but he clearly beat him. He didn't pretty much take a loss against him and get a gift decision. So I go with Inoue for that.
My personal one, I'd probably pick Frampton, but it's with the asterisks because a lot of what you guys have said, I agree with. The Quigg fight was pretty poor until the later rounds. The Santa Cruz fight was close, and I think I actually scored it originally to Santa Cruz by 1 round, and I think I rewatched it and had it a draw. So,
but Cam, when we were watching that fight live in the arena, those last 2 rounds, I was on my feet when I go and fucking get away from Quigg. It wasn't like Frampton really clearly went away from him those last couple of rounds.
True, but you were highly drunk at that time, so.
Hey, look, narcotics are a beautiful thing.
But yes, I'd say Frampton, but I do kind of see Leon's point about not picking anyone because there were so many close contenders. So I'd say Frampton if I have to pick one. But
well, and also, like, just to add to my Inoue pick, because I forgot to mention this, he had offered both Luis Concepcion before he fought Yafai, as well as Jermaine Ancaz, the WBA and IBF champs, fights on New Year's, and both of them turned it down. So that's why he wound up with Kono.
Right.
So he was also ducked.
All right, let's move on to knockout of the year. Big list this year.
Wow.
Kimo, give us
one. There's only one.
Kimo,
all right, I got quite a list here as well. Let me just go
Jesus. Look, can I just say now?
Yeah.
At no point is Tony Bellew winning shit from fucking any cunt. Fucking big scouse cunt.
It was a hell of a left hook, though. I'll give him that.
Left kid, fuck off, cunt.
All right, so I think obviously, Cam, you witnessed it live. Canelo Khan, even though it was a mismatch, it was a hell of a knockout, wasn't it? Did you actually hear the thud as well?
I saw his body drop like he got shot.
Rape of the year.
Yeah, that should be rape of the year.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal, man.
That was like Street Fighter. He bounced.
Yeah. Gassiev against Schimmel, that left hook that he kind of jumped in with. Absolutely fucking brutal. I mean, he just shattered the guy. What else have I got? Obviously, Joe Smith versus B-Hop, that combination that just sent him flying out of the fucking ring. Amazing.
The next round.
No, but he pushed him out, Kimo. He pushed him out.
Yeah, my ass with his fists. Mason Menard versus Bernardo, another great fucking right hook.
That was
Just
brutal.
Iced him. Fucking iced him. I think Quillen icing that stripper was this year as well, wasn't it?
Nah, that was last year.
Was that last year? Because I literally wrote in my list Quillen icing a stripper.
That could be something else.
Thomas Williams Jr. against Edwin Rodriguez. It wasn't a clean knockout because Rodriguez actually got up. But the shot that he hit him with was fucking brutal. Adonis Stevenson against Thomas Williams Jr. Also mentioned that before. But my knockout of the year is actually Gvozdyk against Mohammadi. That right hand is as clean and as straight and as perfect as you can throw a fucking right hand. I mean, it was just beautiful. And it was he perfectly caught him at the end of the punch, and it just flattened Mohammadi. He just went down. He didn't get up. It was just picture perfect the way he threw it. You know, he had his hands up. It wasn't a winging shot. For me, I'm picking this knockout also based on technique and brutality. Like, it had the best technique out of all the knockouts. And that's definitely my knockout of the year. I'll give, even though I hate it, and King Jay is going to fucking wank over this, but I'll give Lomachenko a little bit of credit as well for the Martinez knockout.
Massive L for you. Massive L for you.
I'm feeling nice
That's
today.
A huge L.
Gonna have to change your name to Limo.
You're broken.
But Gvozdyk Mohammadi is KO of the year for me.
Any more on your list, Kimo?
That's pretty much it, I think, yeah.
I got one that he definitely missed. Julius Ndongo versus
Trey Bunsky.
Edward Churanovsky. I was trying to remember his first name.
Easy.
Fucking brutal.
That's the winner. Easy winner.
World Championship fight, brutal left hand. That shit was Pacquiao-Hatton-esque. And he went down like a fucking domino. Like a domino just falling back.
But the best thing is, there's nothing I like more than when a fighter sees a punch coming from about... He must have seen that punch for about 4 seconds, and it just was coming, and he couldn't do anything about it, and then just smashed to his feet.
Only thing he could do is close his eyes and pretend like it's not happening.
He closed his eyes, and then opened them before the punch had hit. And then he opened them.
It's almost like you're about to get into a car. It's almost like you're about to get into a car wreck and you know it's going to happen. You're like, oh no, like you could see it. and it was over.
you have to bring a story into it, because whatever we say about that Russian dude, he's ranked somehow, beating some good guys. That guy,
he's the guy that
iced him in 40 seconds, man. Straight iced him, like cold iced him, not like because Charlo can't be knockout of the year because that guy got back up and J-Rock got off and took another punch. That guy was surfing, wasn't he? He was
that's a good honorable mention. That's a good honorable mention.
Leon, actually, you make a good point. Does everyone agree that a knockout of the year has to be clean?
You have to be done on the
has
floor.
to be clean. Like, the guy can't get up and take
count. I think that puts more weight onto it. Yeah. I think just a clean knockout
have to be done on the floor.
Yeah.
There's no if you get back up.
Well, the thing is, if somebody's done on the floor, but it's at a lower level, it's like not at the championship level. I think that hurts it a little bit. But
look now, I want cunts twitching.
I think that's the one thing that I think that's the one thing that semi hurts Endom, because I mean, that was like an interim belt or whatever the fuck. But I mean, and that was an incredible knockout. That was pretty fun to watch. And I just said on Twitter that Endom was pissed about the Olympics, so that's why he went in there and blasted Blanco out of there. That was an impressive win, but I think just the whole gravity of it. Ndongo was a big underdog. Like, people didn't know.
The story is so good, man.
Some random fighter from Namibia, and he almost did like Pacquiao did against Matabula or Makapula rather. Back on the Tyson Lewis undercard. Just no name fighter from out of nowhere. Bam! Check this
fully
out.
ice cunt as well.
And this is a guy that Crawford should have fought. He should have fought.
And do you know what I love about it as well? Because he iced a Russian in Russia, and they were silent for 30 seconds. But when it came to it, they all clapped it. There was no pissy, boo and all this shit. It's like, you ice man. Man is dead. Respect. That's what I loved about that. The whole story, that's a winner, easy.
Naota, any more on your list that Kimo didn't mention?
Well, let me see. There was I mean, Stevenson versus Thomas Williams is a good one. Thomas Williams versus Edwin Rodriguez. Fantastic. It's a fantastic fight, fantastic knockout. I'm trying to think. There was a lot of knockouts on that particular card too, with Edwin Rodriguez. Jorge Lara versus Fernando Montiel. Yeah, Lara ices Montiel, leaves him down face first. The thing that hurts that is the fact that he had dropped him a couple of times before he finally put him to sleep. Trying to think what else was on there. David Benavidez had a good knockout on there as well. Errol Spence with what was
Algeri.
Avocado.
Yeah, I mean, both of those were pretty damn solid, actually. I mean, those are just kind of honorable mentions, though, because I really agree with.
They're not body twitching. I want body twitching. I don't want a man
this is just me giving credit to incredible knockouts, regardless. But I'd say I would definitely say that Indongo versus Trinovsky is my knockout of the year, with the second place going to Endon and Blanco.
Excellent. Leon, any more on that list of yours that they haven't mentioned, and then your personal one?
Is Geffen icing Hibbert?
That was a good knockout.
Because Geffen was a man who was retired like a week before, and Hibbert, I always wanted Hibbert to get iced because of his horrible celebration over our boy Ryan when he broke his back, but that was a full icing. And it's low level, but an icing's an icing.
It was one of those icings, when he gets stunned and his hands get dropped and he gets hit with multiple shots afterwards.
Well, he knocked him out and he's falling over and he's like, he doesn't look like he's quite knocked out enough. So I just hit him with a little uppercut as he's going down. He's iced.
Yeah. Any more?
Yeah.
Any more?
Yeah, I just watched that fight that you guys were talking about, the knockout. I keep forgetting the fucking name.
Troyanovsky.
And that was a good KO, but for me, that wasn't KO of the year, man. It doesn't look as brutal as the one that I mentioned. But
have you seen
story? You got to take into account story.
Have you seen?
Yeah, but a knockout is a knockout. It's just about fucking brutality. That's it.
Well, if it's knockout, it's Ginger knocking out fucking, Mr. fucking Bolton, which is a fucking mismatch, and that's a fucking nonsense, isn't it? I mean, if
like Danny Garcia, Rod Salka could have been knockout of the year in that case.
If there's an award for the
year that it happened,
most obvious knockout of the year was Khan dancing around for 4 rounds and get fully fucking splattered.
So what do you think about Gvozdyk then against Muhammadi? Do you think that's a contender? I love that knockout, man.
Yeah.
Muhammadi was
that's a contender.
That's good, but
Kimo, have you seen the Endam Blanco one though?
I've seen it. It was good.
That was good, and the guy was twitching. I think that's what Leon wants. A guy
dancing.
dancing.
I want a little bit of
spasm.
I want a little bit of you to leave your body before you fucking get counted out.
Yep. Anything else?
Like that Donaire against Montiel kind of spasm.
Yep. Leon, anything else?
Montiel actually got up though too.
Leon, anything else on your list?
No.
So what's your personal one?
It's our boy, the Russian one.
Troyanovsky.
Yeah. That's the story of the year.
All right. Just a few that we haven't mentioned. Wilder versus Spilko. That was a good KO.
Who cares? No one cares.
Callum Smith versus Luke Blackledge. That was a pretty horrific KO.
Illegal fight shouldn't have been fucking sanctioned. I mean, that is GBH.
Yeah. I do like the Wilder Spilko.
That's assault.
The Wilder Spilka was fucking incredible though, just because Spilka was probably up in that fight and Wilder just one-shotted him. That's heavyweight division shit right there.
Yeah.
If you're getting knocked out by Bambi, you're a fucking disgrace.
Yeah, I think Kimo mentioned earlier. Bellew Makubu was a great knockout. Leon Murray versus
it was a good look.
Joe Murray versus that Rashid Kasim. That was a pretty good knockout.
That was a good one, yeah. That was good.
But my personal one, I'd probably have to pick Endam. I like the Endam knockout. Just because it was so quick. I think it was like 22 seconds into the first round. It's like you barely started to watch the fight. And the guy's
first
already
clean shot.
dancing.
First clean shot he really landed.
Yep, so that's probably mine. And with the Khan Canelo, just my personal thoughts. I think a lot of people expected Khan to get knocked out, so that obviously takes a lot away from it. Even though it was a highlight reel knockout, the fact that the guy's chinny and he's moving up, weight classes, and he's
It was like
facing
a
the
roller
beast.
coaster. It's like you have that bracing before the knockout. You know it's coming.
Yep, you're
But it's,
tensing.
you know what that is? It's like the knockout. Like I knew it was going to happen like this, but I didn't expect it to actually happen exactly like I thought it would happen. Knockout of the year. It's just like the most obvious knockout of the year.
Yep.
It was. I feel sorry for him, man. We'll get round to the most wasted time career, biggest waste of the year award, which will go to either Khan or Brooke.
All right. Let's go to. I had rounds of the year, but people can't remember the individual rounds, so we'll skip that one. But let's go to Duck of the year. Who's the worst duck for me? Canelo. After the Khan fight, we got balls. We'll fight anyone. Let's do it now. Couple days later, drops the belt. And then we'll fight Triple G in September 2017. So it has to go to Canelo. Sorry, Dan, if you're listening in the gym. It has to go to Canelo for me.
Totally agree. It's just on such a grand stage, and to be a quote unquote Mexican prideful warrior, and to just drop the belt and just go running after you make a speech like that on fucking HBO. You just look like a bitch. I'm sorry to say. And you got these fucking morons that are coming out and saying, the negotiations and Golovkin should take the fee and this and that. Listen, dude, you dropped the fucking belt. Okay? You can talk business all you fucking want. You're talking shit. You're dropping a belt. And then you go on to fight who? A Smith? Come on, man. You just look like shit. Business, no business. You just look like crap. I mean, this is not a fucking transaction, It's the fight game. And when you say like, oh, we don't fuck around, we can do it right now. Well, obviously not, because we can't do it right now because you've got a bunch of other shit that you need to do beforehand. So I totally agree with you, and yeah, it's probably the biggest fight that can be made in boxing, and he chose to not go for it. So totally agree.
Leo, your biggest
Duck of the year is it's a weird one. It's a bit left field, but Garcia got a whooping off Peterson, and he got beaten at the beginning of the year.
No, the Peterson fight was in 2015.
Was it? No, it wasn't, was it?
Yeah, he fought Guerrero this year for the vacant WBC. Beat Guerrero.
Did he not fight Danny at the beginning of the year?
No, he fought Guerrero
and school him.
No, Danny fought Guerrero in January. End of January last year. This year, sorry.
Oh, well, come back to me. I don't know what I'm fucking talking about.
Well, to be honest, like, a notable mention was Danny for me, just because obviously he won that vacant belt against Guerrero, but then he did nothing, and then he said he needed a tune-up before Thurman, and fought for a 10-rounder without the belt on the line against Samuel Vargas, so it's just another wasted year for Danny Garcia, but...
Well, it's just, if we're talking about ducks, it's just a waste of a year, and this is just this whole thing with boxing, it's that we end up getting into arguments and petty fucking disagreements with people we like, and it's just nonsense over fucking cash flow. And cash flow is the most boring fucking... I'm freelance. I work freelance, and cash flow is the most boring thing on the planet. But cash flow with boxers and going, well, he didn't give me this, I didn't give you that. I just don't... It's such a terrible sport for that shit, isn't it? So, biggest duck of the year is boxing in general, and probably Eddie Hearn for everything he's ever done.
For all his IFL...
It's not a duck.
I just feel like it's just an opportunity to insult. And...
Yeah, that's an award later on for Bum of the Year. But Naoya, your biggest duck of the year?
By far and away, Roman Martinez. He had a fight, mandatory fight with Miguel Berchelt for the WBO title. It was signed, it was sealed, it was delivered. They were going to fight, and 2 weeks out of the fight, Martinez suddenly gets a quote-unquote injury and then a week after calling the fight with Berchelt off, all of a sudden announces that he's fighting Vasyl Lomachenko for the WBO title. I could technically give it to Lomachenko too for ducking Berchelt as well, but I'm not going to do that. Martinez was so fucking clear and incontrovertible. It was pathetic. Roman Martinez also wins Bitch of the Year because Berchelt was going to lay his fucking ass out just like he did the Jonathan Perepino, and he didn't want to end up going out on the stretcher. So he bitched out, he ducked out, and he's a punk. That's it.
All right, let's move on.
Cam, can I just quickly, I don't know if Shams 1000 is trolling in the chat or not, but he didn't want to be held to artificial deadlines. What the fuck does that even mean? And why are you defending Canelo? Honestly. Justify yourself. You're talking out of your fucking ass. If you want to be held to artificial deadlines, shut the fuck up and don't act like a badass in the ring, yeah? How about that? Fucking bullshit, man. I'm sick and tired of these people defending fucking fighters. Oh, you don't understand the business. How about this? How about you don't act like a fucking alpha when you're really a beta? How about that? Because you just fucking ran. That's what you did.
All right, let's move on. Trainer of the year. I've only got one suggestion. It's Sugar Shane McGuigan, man.
Sugar? What is your sugar?
I've added him into Sugar now. He's a beast. But yeah, that's the only suggestion I've got.
Probably has the best resume.
Yeah, really. Like a lot of trainers this year, they've had decent wins, but a lot of them had losses as well. So he's the only person kind of standing out to me for trainer of the year. You guys got any suggestions?
Manny Robles trained Valdez and Jesse Magdaleno to world championships.
I like Robles. I like him. I don't know if he's trainer of the year. I just like the cut of his jib. He's quite arrogant. He's quite nonchalant. He's a fucking cocky fucker.
No, Robles is a good shout.
So I'll go with him. I think it's a pointless award because he's like chairman of the year or fucking. It's nonsense. But I like Robles, so yeah, I'll take that.
All right, fair enough. Should we move on to
about 5 drinks in now, boys?
Yeah,
might as well mention Derek James also got Spence, got Charlo a title versus Jackson. He trained Rob Brandt also. He did a pretty solid job. But for me, it's Robles though. The two when he snatch up 2 titles for 2 guys, take them from prospect contender to champion. I think that's impressive, especially with the way that Magdaleno fucking washed Nonito.
Yeah, that was impressive. I picked against that shit. Trainer of the year is very tricky though because it's always kind of tied to the accomplishment of the fighter. So
pointless.
Yeah. You could just have an incredible stable and be suck ass and suddenly win trainer of the year.
Well, look, Robles wins beard of the year and trainer of the year, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything because the beard was good, but great beard. It means nothing.
All right.
Sorry, I've gone tequila kicking now.
Let's move on. Upset of the year. Again, I've only got one contender. I know you guys will probably add a few more, but I've only got Joe Smith Jr. versus Fonfara. That's the only one that can come to mind.
Corrales Uchiyama.
Oh, the first fight. Yeah, that's a good shot.
Corrales Uchiyama won. Byron Rojas versus Heki Butler. That was a 25-1 underdog. So just based on odds, that's pretty fucking stupid. Trying to think what other ones. The big upsets happened.
I've got a couple, Cam.
Well, Ndongo, as we mentioned earlier, that was an upset. He definitely wasn't favored to win that.
True. What's yours, Leon?
I got a few, Cam.
Go ahead.
I've got just a second. I'm just writing my headphones. I've got Matchroom versus the Wee Man. I got Matchroom versus Every Fighter. I got Matchroom versus Team Sexy. That was great. That was good. I feel bad for Crawler, but he got raped. I got Joe Gallagher versus every person he ever fought. Is that enough? There you go.
Aouni versus Guzman, I think, deserves a shout too, because I didn't expect Guzman to lose like that.
Yeah, Kimo, you got any?
Yeah, I just to follow up on what Leon said, I think Joe Gallagher versus that long hallway in the O2 Arena was definitely upsetting.
I got Joe Gallagher versus everything. The worst defense of a title ever. Trainer of the year, versus rape victim of the year in like a fucking 12 months, like from the most heralded person to the most fucking broken individual you could ever come across. He's the fucking very worst. That fucking interview with fucking Collar in the... Oh. We'll get to this. We'll get to the AIDS thing. We'll come to this, Chemo. You can do it.
I think we're almost there. Go on, Kev.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the serious ones out of the way before we tear people apart. So
I'm very serious, Cam. What are you talking about? I'm gonna... Well.
As you slur away. Okay.
Fuck off. I'm committed. I turn up every week.
Robbery of the year. I got McDonald versus Solis, man. I had to throw my TV out the window for that one. So that was disgusting.
Yeah, that's very high on mine as well.
Agreed.
What I would put maybe. Oh, well, I'm not sure if I'd put it over because it was a draw, but I mean it was a clear robbery. Darlie Perez versus Maurice Hooker. Perez schooled fucking Hooker on that Kovalev Ward on the card.
Yeah, that was
schooled
disgusting.
Him. He damn near shut him out, and he gets a fucking draw. That was awful.
Yeah, that was bad. That. Leon, Kimo, you guys got any?
Robbery.
I got Medina DeGale up there too. Forky Medina beat the shit out of DeGale.
Yeah, that's my one. That's my one as well.
No. That was a close fight.
I'm very inclined to say Kovalev, but I can't call it a robbery, man. I can't. I just can't. Even though I despise that fucking cunt, I can't. I can't do it, man. Robbery has to be like a very, very, one-sided fight where you just know that it's corrupt shit.
Oh, I got one for robbery of the year. Femi's pay-per-views.
What?
Robbing the public.
Femi's his pay-per-view to robbing us, clean robbing us.
Yeah, but you don't pay, so they're not robbing you.
Do you know what upsets me is that people say he's from London. He's not from fucking London. He's fucking Watford.
Watford is London, man.
No, it's not. It's the fucking worst. It's the worst of London. It's
not
even fucking Birmingham. It's not fucking any other town outside London. It's just a little pissy little fucking suburb that no cunt cares about.
I hope you don't have to go to Watford anytime soon.
I hate Watford so much.
I hope you don't have to go to Watford anytime soon. All right, let's...
all the time, man. I'm always in Watford. They call me the king of Watford.
I'm not sure how you guys feel about it, but honorable mention maybe to Burns versus Relic.
That was a close fight.
because Burns got raped in that fight.
It was the closest fight, though. It wasn't like Kimo said, to me, robbery has to be very decisive that, the guys lost it and then somehow on the cards he's won it. So Burns was quite a close fight.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I said honorable mention more so than like the ones that we mentioned.
Yep. All right, let's move on.
Scottish are the worst.
Okay, let's move on. Prospect of the year. I got quite a list here. So I got Eriksson Lubin. I got Gvozdyk, Jared Hurd. I don't know if you could put... I've seen some people put Verdejo in there, but I don't know. I don't think you really could put Verdejo because he's been active for a good couple of years. Again, I'm high on Jojo Diaz, but would you really class him as a prospect?
I don't know why you could put Verdejo in there in the fucking first place. Who the fuck is he fought? And the guys that he's beating are getting iced in the first fucking round? Fuck out of here.
I wouldn't put him...
He fought AA. He's fought no one.
No. I agree with you guys. I'm just seeing other people have put him to death.
He fought his fucking motorcycle's brakes. That's what he fought.
Exactly. He fought fucking AA roadside recovery and lost.
Yeah, I got Jojo Diaz and Josh Taylor, but just quickly nailed on Jojo. Do you think he's too far gone to be a prospect? Because he's almost
yeah, he's a contender. He's beyond the prospect stage. He's a fucking contender. We're talking about him fighting Oscar Valdez, and they're talking about him fighting Gary Russell and shit. He's gonna fight Warrington coming up here. So I think if anything, he was a prospect last year in 2015, but 2016 he's well beyond that now.
Have you got any to add? If not, who's your prospect of the year?
The main one that I want to add, and who actually is my prospect of the year, was actually the same fighter that was boxing scene's prospect of the year, Luis Neri. It's an undefeated bantamweight fighter from Mexico. Had 5 wins, 4 out of the 5 by knockout. And I mean, he's icing these guys that have gone like 8 or 9 rounds with the likes of Estrada and Cuadras, icing them in 2 and 3 rounds. So I mean, that's extremely impressive, and I think he's going to be a serious problem for anybody and everybody at bantamweight, super bantamweight, wherever. 22-0, 16 knockouts. This guy is brutal type of fighter. Like the way that we saw Kirkland and Anguilla when they first burst onto the scene. First round, I'm coming at you with everything I got, and you're going the fuck down. That's the type of fighter he is. And I'm really anxious to see how he does in the near future.
As I said, I'm so high on Josh Taylor, so he's my prospect of the year. Leon, you got any people?
Yeah, I have got one person. Is Kimo still there?
I'm here. Go.
Let's say this together.
Boy Jones Jr.
There you go. That's our boy.
That's a good shot, though. That's a good
I'm
shot.
actually
because...
torn. Go on.
Go ahead, Kimo.
No, you go first, Kimo, because
Yeah.
We're not just trolling. The kid's got skills.
Yeah, he's really good. I mean, for a guy that has no amateur career, young, he's precocious, prodigious, really good fucking fighter, and he's showing a hell of a lot of skill. He looks like a vet. He looks like a veteran.
We all thought it was a bit of a joke because we love the name, didn't we? The four of us here, we love that name. Then after a while, I was like, oh boy, that fucking body shot's lovely. So the kid's got skills and respect.
And by the way, he does listen to the show sometimes. So, Boy Jones, if you're listening, man, you are a fucking G, and I think you're the future of boxing. But I'm torn because we have two guys, at least I do, that I fucking love both, and that's Josh Taylor and Boy Jones. So I think we just split it, Leon. We'll have, prospect of the year, maybe Boy Jones Jr., and then we'll have breakout star of the year, Josh Taylor, because Josh Taylor.
Yeah. That performance was very good. Yeah,
is a fucking beast. That this motherfucker. Oh my god, Chu must be fucking gobbling his nuts, man. The guy is just amazing.
Look, me and Cam were big fans of Dave Ryan, and he's a hard nut. Like he's the kind of guy like Dave Ryan. You don't want to fight that guy in the street after a few drinks because he'll beat the shit out of you. And he dealt with him better than any of Eddie Hearn's other prospects of that weight. He dealt with that guy. So he's a serious prospect. And he beats Ricky Burns to a pulp.
Stops him to the body.
Yeah. After he stops him, we go over and just smash Brian Keane in the face over and over again until he's dead. Love you, Brian.
But yeah, Taylor is so excited, man. I cannot wait to see what this guy's gonna do, man. Incredible.
All right, that's all the serious ones kind of done. So if you guys want to go, call it what bum of the year, AIDS of the year. You guys go ahead.
No.
How about like breakout star of the year?
Shit here.
Breakout star of the year. Anybody got anything for that?
Well, for us, like you said, it's Josh Taylor and Boy Jones Jr.
Or breakout performance will go to Charlo.
Breakout performance,
the real Charlo.
I mean, I could put Andre up there though too with what he did versus Willie Nelson. That was a pretty impressive performance.
It was. Yeah. I never really.
Do you know what? Do you know who you have to give some props to? And this will be a kind of weird thing to digest. But Jacobs smashing shit out of Quillen in a round. That's got to be. You got to mention that.
You got to
mention that. You got to mention it.
Wasn't that in 2015 though?
No size, but
that was in 2015.
You're 1 year behind, Leon.
Oh fuck off! I don't know what's going on.
But Jesse Magdaleno.
I'm trying to be fucking nice here.
Jesse Magdaleno washing Nonito Donaire. That's a breakout performance.
Yes, I fully agree with that. Magdaleno deserves that shit.
Can we do waste of the year? Like waste of your year. Terry Flanagan.
Guillermo Rigondeaux.
Waste of the year. He fought no cunt. He just fought old African wanker. He has though. He fought no fucker. Has he? He's not quite in the AIDS award.
Alexander Povetkin, waste of the year.
No, that's very, 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 very well kind of, concentrated drug abuse.
Okay. Let me rein it in. I've titled it Bum of the Year. Okay, my contestants, we got Tyson Fury, just for his ongoing cancellations, the fact that he's had these positive drugs tests that have been just swept under the carpet. No one really knows what's going on. Just messing Vlad about, and then if his depression is serious, I understand that. If it's an excuse, then that's disgusting. But we will never know. Another one on that list, Billy Joe Saunders, wasted a year. Looked like a fat bastard. Went up to like 200 plus pounds. Looked terrible in that fight a couple of weeks ago. Danny Garcia, I've kind of mentioned him before, so I won't go over that. Nicholas Walters, just for that quit, that was like, you can't defend that bullshit. That he wasn't getting beat up, he wasn't getting injured, he just was getting schooled and didn't want to play anymore and just wanted to go home. That was disgusting. And just Povetkin, two failed drug tests. Still managed just to fight a guy on 1 day's notice and almost fucking kills him, which was disgusting again. So there's so many nominees. You guys have probably got a few to add as well.
Yeah, well, as I mentioned Guillermo Rigondeaux before, he didn't fight Ray Vargas, who the WBC ordered for him. He didn't fight the WBA ordered on Moises Flores or Neymar Cermeño. He's finally going to fight Flores coming up, though, so that takes some of the weight off of it. But he had a waste of a fucking year fighting Jazz fucking Dickens, for God's sake.
Yeah, but you ripped his jaw off, though.
After a postponement. Yeah, no, I mean, that was a good shout. But, I mean, Rod almost got permanent brain damage from Danny Garcia, too, so what are we to expect?
Leon, Chemo, anything else?
Well, look, this award is AIDS of the Year.
I give it
AIDS
Povetkin,
of the Year.
I give it to Povetkin, though, because, oh my God. I hated Povetkin before, but now I hate his ass even more.
But you're a horrendous racist, so we can't take anything you say seriously. But
Cam, I think Tyson Fury has got to be number one for me.
What are we talking about here? AIDS of the Year. We're giving out this. This is a prestigious.
No, this is Fun of the Year.
Prestigious award.
Hold on.
It's Tyson.
AIDS of the Year. I think Fury was at. I mean, he was the baddest man in boxing, right? He's a heavyweight champion, unified heavyweight champion of the world, and he talked so much shit, and then everything just kind of gets thrown into the, I'm mentally ill fucking bucket. I mean, get the fuck out of here. You are the number one shit talker in the heavyweight division, and then your entire fucking family does hours and hours of interviews how you never get any credit. You had the stage and the opportunity to do something truly great and to shake up the division, which has been on lock by the Klitschko brothers forever, and this is what you do. You turn into a fat mess and just shit on all the fans that are willing to just go see you twice.
But look, Chemo. All right, look.
That's what he is.
You can say all that about Tyson Fury, but I'd rather have a fucking drink with him and then maybe a little cheeky than fucking Joe Gallagher, who was given. He was a fucking ring trainer of the year. I have never in my life seen a worse defense of a title in my fucking life. This man walked around like a fucking god, supposedly, and he fucking the most feeble defense of a title I've ever fucking seen. You're getting cunts iced left, right, and centre, loss after loss, body shot after body shot. Fat Smigger losing to fucking glasses of big red wine. These are the worst. This is the worst person on the fucking boxing planet. He is the biggest L of the year. He is AIDS of the year. Goes to Joe Gallagher.
I can't disagree with you, but the thing is, people have been saying this about Joe for already a long time. And he's never really left that cunty status that he's got. So
yeah, but dude, we watch people who pay for Sky TV watched him interview Collar in the fucking changing rooms like 30 minutes before he went out to fight, like it was some kind of important thing happening. Oh, I'm here with Anthony Collar. It's some of the worst shit we've ever seen, and he was on the planet voted by us Yanks, everywhere around the world, trainer of the year, and he feebly lost across the board, won no fight that meant anything for the whole fucking year. He is the worst. And my dogs have been in fucking terror and scared of him for the last 2 to 3 years.
You have got some hate towards this man, dude. At least he gave us a little bit of entertainment.
I never said I was a nice person, Kimo, did I? I never ever said I was a nice person.
But at least he gave us some entertainment with those runs backstage, man. That shit was fucking epic. He gave us
amazing.
He gave us the Forjadio soundbite as well, man. We got even credit for that.
Because I love to see a man run like a lesbian to the backstage. It's fucking brilliant. That's made my fucking night, Kimo. He's the worst person ever, Kimo. You know he's the worst person ever. You know he is.
Yeah,
I still enjoy his presence in boxing just because it riles
everybody. Yes, because of the hate and the spite.
Leon, just for you.
Felix Fajardo.
It's such a golden sound. Never gets old. Oh, fuck. What was the other one? Costa Zoo. Do you have that as well?
Of course I do.
Costa Zoo.
That's the best one. Costa Zoo.
Hopefully,
he's slurring like you right now.
We might.
Fuck off.
We might hear that more often now that Costa Zoo's son's boxing. So maybe Joe Gallagher will bless that more often.
Oh man!
All right. Have we had all the awards, Cam? Or do
How
we need
about
to talk about
Ben? How about feel good story of the year?
Nah, that's some bullshit. Fuck
feel
that.
good. What about moment of the year? What about moment of the year?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Moment of the year.
I think moment of the year was when the Bens started making out with each other on Sky.
Yeah, it was.
that was probably my moment.
Oh man,
your Christianity means something to me. I love your Jesus.
Leon,
can we talk about the Eubanks? Because I'm a big fan of the Eubanks. But I think there's a point when you go beyond the troll. I love a troll. But if you're going to troll yourself so hard that you troll yourself into your own troll downfall, there's no troll left. I mean, there's a lot of mouth breathers and fucking
trollception,
knuckle draggers on Twitter who don't like the Eubanks. And I get that because they're the worst. But if you're getting tricked by shit that I was tricked about when I was 14, like this is the same shit again, and he's tricking you, and you're going, "Whoa, I don't like it. He's a paedophile. He nonsense his kids. I'm really upset." It's madness that he's played the same trick again 20 years later, and we've all fallen for it. He's the king of the trolls. He's like, like people say, like, oh, you're in the Beatles or you're in the like the Beach Boys when you make pet sounds. It's like you're falling for the same trick. It's like the same clever shit over and over again, and you're being fooled by it. That's me over.
Well, did you see the new poster of the IBO historic world championship?
Where he morphed into his own dad. People upset about that.
Oh God!
It's so good.
I
feel like I'm a teenager again. I feel like I'm going to get out tomorrow, put on a Happy Mondays record, put on some naff jeans, some fucking like chippy shirt.
NAF Code 54.
It's just like I feel like it's like 1992 all over again. I feel great. I'm an old.
Gonna have a haircut.
I'm an old
Nick
cunt.
Bird.
You're getting fooled by the same shit. Because Eubank was doing this years ago. When I was a kid, no fucker liked Eubank. Everyone at my school loved Ben, but a few of us like Eubank. And it's the same trick over again. It's like, oh, we hate you, we're buying it, oh, I don't know what we're doing. It's the same shit all over again, man. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, but come on.
He's a weirdo. I don't like him. He's a double weirdo.
Leon, the problem is we're not getting fights. His dad actually had fucking good fights.
were you getting fights? I mean, were there that many good fights under Eubank's career? That's my point. Is that we can't, like, I woke up one day this week and people were going, oh, I can't believe, and fucking Eddie Hearn, the little snitch cunt that he is going, Eubank said he wanted money to turn up to my dad's birthday. Money? I'd want money plus a fucking cab, plus some gold, plus some diamonds to turn up to your dad's fucking birthday. Like, it's a bad thing, and everyone was going, oh, I feel, like they're touched and go, oh yeah, no, I'm with you, Eddie. Yeah, Eubank's a real cunt. It's like they're taking Eddie Hearn's side in this argument. Hearn's the worst person fucking ever. That's my point.
But Leon, I know you're pretty
I'm a
out
pure
of it
troll.
at the moment. I know you're pretty out of it at the moment, but you got to admit that Eubanks are just failing at the fucking moment. They're not making any relevant fight, and it started off good when they took the Billy Joe Saunders fight. Even though he lost, we were like, okay, this is gonna go somewhere, but it's just gone downhill, man. It's a fucking
troll of troll. They're fucking with people, and then people are getting upset about it. That's my point. So you get upset about trolls. They were like the trolls before trolls.
At least troll with a good fight. The kid's talented.
What good fight did Senior have? He's trolling forever, man. To be offended and upset by it is nonsense.
I'm not offended.
No, people are, man. There's people out there who are, calling me a nonce and a rapist because I just half like them. I just like them because they upset people.
Well, I think they're entertaining, but I think Eubank Jr. is a talented guy, but he's I don't know what's happening on a management level, on a professional level. Everything is just going downhill at the moment.
Well, nothing's happening. That's what I'm saying, Kimo. They've trolled themselves beyond the troll. Well, they got nothing left. They're fucked. They're dying. It will mean nothing. But it's still funny to see people react by going, oh, I don't like them. I'm upset by them. I love the troll. I always love the troll.
Let's, Cam, shall we move on?
Oh, fuck off. I'm not that drunk, you cunt.
Yeah, you are. Kimo.
Fuck off. I'm not that drunk. Come on. This is the best episode ever. Leon exposes himself.
On camera. Kimo, I know you're not had a show for a while. Anything you want to talk about? Any topics? Any fights that have been made?
Yeah. There is a little something I need to talk about, man. And it concerns Daniel Jacobs against Triple G. And it's more of a general point that I want to make. And this is not about taking shots or whatever. But
don't do it.
No. I'll keep it quite general. It's more about the things we do as boxing fans, And it's. People say, oh, you need to talk about the business of boxing because this is you can't talk without boxing without the business getting involved. And because of the fucking mess that boxing is in, that might be true. But if you have no facts, if you can't back up your words, and let's face it, as fans, nobody really can because we don't know what's going on in negotiation rooms. We don't know what kind of contracts are being sent. There's only a few people that notice. Heck, most of the fighters probably don't even know all the shit that's going on.
I know it.
To go around and make ludicrous statements and worst of all defend certain boxers and defend like why certain fights should not be made. That to me is a problem. If you want to make ludicrous statements, fucking do that. But if you want to go around and defend fighters not taking fights or make arguments about why certain fights will not get made, that means you're part of the problem, in my opinion. Because you should never fucking come up with reasons why a fight shouldn't get made. What is it in benefit to you? The people that were fucking hating on K2, saying Jacobs deserved this and this person deserves that. Excuse me, but what fucking benefit is it to you? Are you getting money out of this? Are you getting anything? No. You have Showtime and HBO subscriptions that are running every month, and you're losing out because you're not getting good fights. If you want to fucking make arguments on why fights shouldn't get made, I'm sorry, but you're a fucking idiot. And we do not learn. We haven't learned from Mayweather Pacquiao. We haven't learned from Jacobs Triple G. And we want to turn each other into fucking economists and business managers and act all smart, when in reality is we don't know shit. But here's the fact, right? If a fight wants to get made by the fighters and by the management, they will get made. I have seen so many goddamn excuses why Jacobs Triple G shouldn't get made. Do I need to name all of them? Do I need to name the laundry list of things that I've heard it was everything. K2 doesn't offer the right split, purse bids. Jacobs needs a longer training camp.
Kimo, here's the truth.
It's just
no one who's a supposed Triple G fan thought that him fighting Kelbrook was anything other than a fucking mismatch. And something that we didn't really want to watch. No one's walking away from here going, Triple G had a good year. He had a shit year. He fought no cunt that means anything. So his year is completely fucking wasted, isn't it? Triple G's year is wasted this year, wasn't it? Was it not wasted? Completely wasted. So it's not about picking fucking sides. It's about wanting the fucking fights.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I agree with you.
People who defend reasons.
Sides. I don't care about Triple G. I just want him to fight man. Fight a man that fucking means something.
Yeah, but if you spend your time on Twitter and as a boxing fan or on podcasts coming up with reasons why fights will not get made, aren't you part of the fucking problem? Aren't you submitting to the idea that
we're not part of the problem, because the problem doesn't matter because no one listens to any of us.
Exactly.
You want good fights. You want good fights. All I want is a good fight. I don't want an excuse from either side. I want a fight.
But you say that though.
Who loses,
hold on. You say that though, but when we were in the Mayweather Pacquiao era, this was being done on a mass scale.
I never fucking involved myself in that bullshit.
I'm not talking about you, motherfucker. I'm talking about in general. I'm talking about people, hundreds and fucking thousands of fucking people saying, "Oh, drug test. Oh, negotiation." People were picking sides as if they're part of the goddamn family.
But like you said,
you should be calling for the fight, not for the goddamn economics of it.
But
it's just ridiculous.
Kima, you said it. After Pacquiao Mayweather has been made, there's no excuses for no cunt. There's no excuse for no cunt.
Exactly.
Because if those two fucking horrendous people who are both morally fucking bankrupt, the pair of them, and no one's fucking holding them up as fucking Jesus figures, they are the shining light, and that fight got made. Any fight can be made. Any fight can be made.
And I've said that from day one. And I've said,
I know you have, and
I'll keep
I'm backing you up on that, man. You've always said that. If that fight can be made, any fight can be made. Unless it's me versus Brian King, which Brian King will take a horrible L and it'll just be horrendous beating. Like Braveheart, but just worse.
All I'm going to say is, man,
like you mentioned, I think the reason why is if we didn't discuss the quote unquote back end negotiation to the business side, we'd have, I think, 5% of the content that we currently do. That's how bad, this kind of era is in right now. If you listen to most podcasts or you go through most of these YouTube video channels, 90% of it is just about failed negotiations.
But you know what the thing is, Lim, and I don't mean to sound like a nostalgic old asshole, but back in the day, even though there was still the business element of it, there was still, it was also about personalities, and then it was also about, rivalries, creating storylines, talking shit to each other. When you get this kind of sterile atmosphere. And this is why I ripped on Danny Jacobs a lot of times, because he ended up making the fight. So if you end up making the fight, right, against all the naysayers and all the people that said, oh, K2's not going to do this and all that, and you end up making the fight, why don't you, when a camera comes in your face, say, hey, Triple G, I want to fucking fight you, and we're going to fight? Why do you not say that? Why don't you say that you want to be great? Why don't you make me as a fan convinced that you are worth my money instead of saying, yeah, it's up to my promoter and
But look, let's be
with some
fair.
fucking bullshit answer. Like, you just make yourself look like a duck and like a dumbass, which you should have never done because you ended up making the fight. You know what I mean?
It's not about that. Like I said, they made the fight. So really, when it comes down to it, it's not about Danny Jacobs or Triple G. It's about the fucking guys behind it. It's about, so we don't care. The fight got made. So at the end of the day, any argument up to the point before the fight got made is valid. Now the fight got made, there's no arguments. We'll fucking sit back and we'll see who wins.
Yeah, but the unfortunate thing
about.
is there's gonna be 5 to 10 more storylines that are exactly like this that will happen for the rest of this year.
Steve Kim.
That's all we talk about, though. You're racist.
I know we're the worst, aren't we? We're part of the problem.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I thought you were comparing me to Steve Kim as if you were talking.
I was racist. Okay. Sorry, I'm a racist.
All right, well,
yeah. Cam,
Leo, let him talk. Let him talk.
I'm done, dude.
Go on.
I can't be a part of this kind of racist show anymore. I'm gonna have to.
It's horrible, man. There's a car crash.
All right.
Where's little Nata?
Where's Cam? Where are we?
I need to save it, Leon. Kimo, anything else you want to talk about?
No, man. That's kind of what I wanted to get off my chest. It's if you don't know what the fuck you're talking about and you're creating and negative reasons for fights not to get made, I think you are part of the problem. Whether people listen to you or not, I don't really give a shit. But fights should get made, and as fans, we should demand those goddamn fights, regardless of promotion, regardless of fucking politics or anything like that.
We don't
they
care
can
who
get
makes
made.
the
We should demand for it. You know what we do as boxing fans, Cam? We settle for less. We already say like, oh, that fight's not gonna happen. That fight's not gonna happen because there are in other promotions. Oh, that fight's not gonna happen because of this. Oh, they will never make the right offer. Oh, he wants too much money. When in reality, like I said a million fucking times, we overcame the biggest and most well-known obstacle in boxing in the last 20, 30 fucking years.
There's inroads being made too. I mean, we had Molina Crawford, so who says that him and Arum can't work together? We might have Chavez versus Canelo, so who says him and Golden Boy can't work together?
Exactly. You're picking one or two fights in the past 3 years.
I mean, a ginger beating
regardless, a sign of the times is something that should be encouraged more so, and basically say like, why not?
Why not?
No, that's fair, but
I understand. Why not? It's a beautiful thing.
It is kind of difficult sometimes. But like Canelo Chavez fight, that doesn't look like it's going to happen. Because these guys are constantly pricing themselves out. Prime example with Pacquiao and his list of opponents. These quote-unquote young, hungry lions don't want to take good money to fight a legend and take his name.
What's your thoughts on Crawford asking for $7 million, Lim?
It's moronic. He's doing BKB numbers on pay-per-view, and yet he's asking for $7 million guaranteed. How is that even possible? I don't even know how anyone does less than 50K buys, like I mentioned plenty of times. How are you going to ask for $7 million guaranteed? It makes no sense.
Look, we're all hardcore helmets, aren't we? Who watch too much boxing for our own good. And there is DeGale versus Bumdoo Jack, which I like to call him Bumdoo Jack, and that's this coming weekend. And no cunt cares. In the big sporting arena, no cunt cares that there's a competitive fight between two super middleweight champions combining a title, and no one cares. Who cares about DeGale versus Jack?
I care.
You care, but you're a hardcore helmet like I am. But who cares outside of my fucking dad? Who cares out of fucking random casuals? This fight is a massive fight, but no one cares.
Well,
no one
Leon,
cares, man.
It's something I spoke about recently.
Super middleweight meant something. Now, super middleweight is a fucking as I've said it for years, it's a wash with fucking bums and failures. It used to be the fucking glory division. No cunt cares now. Who cares? Who do you know? Anyone who's mildly entertained by sport who cares about Jack versus DeGale?
But Leon, you know what the thing is? One thing that doesn't happen often, and I see it a lot with the PBC, is that you've got these fantastic fighters, but they don't create any promotion or storylines around it. You know, like, I mean, it's like you say, it's a fantastic fight, Jack versus DeGale. But what content have you seen around? What promotion?
There's no content.
There's nothing to get me interested in Jack's story or DeGale's story. And I think, as from what I've heard, like, Badu Jack is kind of an interesting story.
I mean, the weird thing for me is I've sat around for ages watching Americans call all Europeans bums. This is a fight between two Euro bums that's been built in America that no cunt cares about, but it's still two Europeans, a Swede versus a guy from London. I mean, it means nothing, man. With a
very hot sister.
But you can't be trusted, Lim. You're a dirty bastard, so you can't trust you.
Yeah. Maybe that's part of the problem, though. You know, the fact that
you're part of the
taking
problem.
place.
Right, and to go on the whole Crawford thing, Pacquiao's demanding $20 million minimum. So he's definitely part of the problem too.
Naoya, you're cutting down. That's going down. What were you saying?
No, it's all good. I mean, if you want to go back to that, $20 million, I feel like is more fair from Pac's vantage point than it is $7 million for Crawford, don't you think?
Yep.
I mean, Pacquiao's ratings haven't been as good lately as they were before, and that's what he was getting paid before. So
that is fair.
I think he's demanded more so that I think he's similar to Crawford is demanding too much on a similar scale.
Well, one's a legend and one is not. That's all I can say.
No, but I mean, he's demanding probably about twice as much as he's worth, which is what Crawford's doing.
Well, again, it's kind of weird to say what people are worth, you know, but here's my point of view, right? I don't give a fuck whether it's 20 or 7 or 18 and 3. For me, it's more like you have a chance, and regardless of negotiations of what your purse, because you're gonna make fucking money when you fight against Pac, unless you got complete retarded management, you're gonna make a good payday. But you also have the chance to face a fucking
5 million
legend,
easy, isn't it? 5
to
million
take a fucking legend on and take that name, man. That's gonna do massive things.
And then
for
you get more in the aftermath, yeah.
Man, this is what every guy does. This is what Pac did to De La Hoya. You know, this is your chance. And if you're gonna price yourself out of that, that's just fucking retarded.
Like, you got to lose yourself in the music.
People
know it. You own it.
Fighters don't want to take a crown. Like, I watched boxing since I'm an old cunt. I've been watching boxing for a long time. It's always been about taking the man's crown. Like,
you only get one shot.
I got 2 shots. I'm that old.
Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime.
You take a crown and make money by taking a man's crown. Money and crown comes in. But now it's too much. It's too easy. Like, people wandering around saying they're champions. Furman has been a champion. He's fought no cunt, has he? Take him as an example. He's got a belt. He's fought no cunt.
I beat Sean Porter.
Yeah, you beat Porter.
As I said, no cunt. But was there even a belt on the line? I mean, I like Sean Porter will fight anyone. Everyone else is ducking someone. Porter will fight anyone.
True.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Lim, anything you want to talk about?
No, not really.
Naoya?
No. I mean, not unless we were going to preview next week or something.
Yeah, I was just going to get into the preview of next week. Obviously, it's still early in January. Not that many fights being made. PBC have a horrible card on Friday in Florida. It's got Lara versus Yuri Foreman and Anthony Durrell versus a former opponent of Callum Smith, Norbert Nemispati.
Norbert.
Pretty awful card, so I don't think we should even talk about it. But Saturday, obviously, we got, as previously mentioned, James DeGale versus Badu Jack, super middleweight unifications, WBC and IBF. undercard, we got Jose Pedraza versus Gervonta Davis, which is quite an interesting fight.
That's a good fight.
Yep. Start with Yukimo, DeGale, Jack. How do you see that fight playing out?
Ooh, it's a really, I mean, it's a really difficult fight to call. I mean, I think we've seen what DeGale's weakness is pretty evidently, right? I mean, he kind of just, I don't know, he just lulls himself to sleep, and I think it's a cardio issue, and always in the middle rounds. I don't know why he does this shit. He took a big risk against Durrell when he did that after the multiple knockdowns, but I'm not quite sure if Jack is the guy to kind of put that pressure on him. He does seem to be maybe capable of it, but I'm not sure if he's got the temperament to do it. It's I don't know. If he can come forward and stick that jab in his face and fight at a little bit of a higher pace than he usually does, then maybe he's got a shot, man. I thought he was quite convincing in his last few fights. You know, especially against Groves, he looked very sturdy, man. 'Cause he always used to look like such a fragile guy in the past. But I don't know. For me, it's very hard to pick because on the other hand, you've also, you know, you've still got those question marks around his chin, and James is punching hard lately, you know. So I don't know. It's a fucking 50-50 fight for me, man. It's really, really hard for me to pick. I might go with DeGale, actually.
Dan, how do you see this
fight
playing out?
I got DeGale. I just think DeGale's on a higher level than Jack is, but maybe I don't know. Maybe that's not even a fair thing to say because maybe cardio is a big component of that. But if you just look at it from a skills perspective, when DeGale is on and he wants to turn it on, you can just tell that he's a very high level fighter. And I know that people shit on Durrell, and rightfully so, but I think talent-wise, Durrell is a very, very good boxer, and DeGale was outclassing him, you know, whenever he really wanted to in that fight. So I think if his cardio can hold up, which is obviously a big if, I picked DeGale pretty comfortably. But at the same time, again, those cardio issues against a guy like Porky Medina, who we all know is even less talented than Jack is, was giving him fits in certain aspects of that fight. So this is a big kind of like a 50-50 fight when it shouldn't be, if you guys know what I mean. But I'm still picking DeGale to win like a very close decision, like a 7-5 type of ordeal. But it's a good fight, honestly. I'm excited. I'm excited for the fight.
I disagree with a lot of what Dan was just saying. I think that Jack is clearly the more skilled fighter. I think technically he's way better and cleaner than DeGale. I think DeGale is a guy that he tries to be like Nassim Hamed. He tries to use agility and athleticism to his advantage and just being very herky-jerky and unorthodox. And it gets him by in a lot of his fights. But also in the last few fights, I think Jack is better prepared for DeGale style than DeGale is prepared for Jack style, because I think that Groves, Durrell, and Bude are more similar to DeGale than DeGale's last few opponents. I guess you could maybe say Medina has some similar body work, really good body work to what Jack brings. And to Lim's point, I think a big part of the reason why DeGale had issues with Medina was because Medina is a high-volume, high-stamina fighter. He just puts a ton of pressure on you, and that's the type of fighter that I think DeGale is always going to have issues against. I'm not sure if Jack is really necessarily that kind of a fighter per se, but I think he does extremely good body work, and I think he's just cleaner technically. And I think that unless DeGale is able to hit Jack with something early, catch him kind of cold, and draw him into a tough fight in the early goings, I think that DeGale is going to fade late as he tends to do. And Jack's overall technical prowess is going to take over. So I favor Jack in the fight.
Leon, your thoughts?
Well, I have to take a lot back because I've been calling him Bumdoo Jack for a long time. So it's a tough fight, man. It's a tough fight. But I think skill set wise, I think, you know, DeGale has it over him. It's whether or not he actually quits on himself. And I always feel that he's got... I don't trust his engine, man. Don't trust his engine. I trust the skills, but I don't trust the engine. And Bumdoo's full of that... he's with one of those drug sheets, isn't he?
Memo?
Yeah, he's with Memo.
Is he with Memo?
So he's fucking roided off his big...
he hangs around with Ariza, too.
Yeah, so he's roiding off his big Swedish tits. So he has a chance he'll win. But it's a win either way. As someone who believes in the European way of life, it's a Swedish guy or a Brit who wins. So I don't lose either way.
All right, cheers,
De
Leo.
Gale wins. De Gale
Does
wins.
anybody think that De Gale's going to drop Jack?
Yeah, I
He
think
very
he
well
drops him.
could.
I think it's a good possibility.
But look, everyone goes on. Right, everyone goes on about. Everyone tells me about these fucking Durrell brothers, how good they are, and they ain't won shit about shit. They ain't won nothing about nothing. This division was one of the glamour divisions when I was growing up. Great fighters from both sides of the pond. These cunts ain't won nothing about nothing. They ain't won no titles about no one. So you can't trust any Durrell. So if you've beaten a Durrell, it's a mark of nothing. So I think there's a chance. I think the girls win over the nothing. I think the girl wins. I'm quite angry right now. Sorry, bye.
All
That's,
that to make that
Detailed
statement.
explanation. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
Personally, for me,
Yep.
yeah, it comes down to what most of you have mentioned. It comes down to whether De Gale takes those mid rounds off. Just puts his back against the ropes, tries to get a rest, and just throw an odd counter back here and there. He does it so consistently in fights. Having said that, in the big fights, he does put a bit more effort into it. Against Medina, I'm not making excuses for him, but it just doesn't seem he was interested in. He had a similar style in a lot of his Channel 5 fights as well. Because they weren't big names, he would just lay on the ropes for long periods and just soak it up and then try and counter. But I think he knows this unification is Jack against it is a massive fight. Big money. There'll be big money if he wins it, because obviously Callum Smith is the mandatory for the WBC. So the winner has to fight Callum Smith, and Eddie Hearn will make that a massive fight in the UK. It'll be pay-per-view. Both guys will be getting multi-millions. So I think and De Gale, when you hear him in interviews, he does seem like he's a guy about the money. He doesn't love the sport. He just wants to make as much money as he can. And if he beats Jack, that's definitely going to put him on the road to even more riches. So I'd favour De Gale just slightly. I just think if Jack wants to win it, his output has to be high, and he has to kind of walk De Gale down. Definitely has to be on the front foot. Jack, usually his style is kind of in the centre of the ring, everything behind the jab. But if he does that and he just doesn't have a work rate that's going to make Chunky use up his energy, then I think De Gale is definitely going to win.
Cool.
Moving on just to the undercard.
Sorry, can I just mention one thing?
No,
Come on, politically, just one thing.
go ahead.
I've watched Matchroom Boxing fucking tweet out, big fights on Sky Sports this month. De Gale, Jack, and Santa Cruz, Frampton. Like, they've had anything to do with those fights. Nothing to do with those fights. Sky have just brought those fights, and Eddie Hearn is trying to fucking grab a little bit of fucking glory and try and say that Matchroom has anything to do with those fights. It's fucking pathetic.
All right. Moving on to undercard, Pedraza versus Gervonta Davis.
I'm not that drunk. Come on, fuck off, chemo.
You're ridiculously drunk.
No.
But
That's
Gervonta
I'm
what
Davis.
I'm
angry.
looking forward to the
Very
most, yeah.
angry.
Sorry, Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just excited for the fight. This is a huge step up for Davis, obviously, because Pedraza is a pretty good fighter, man. I got a chance to watch his previous 3 fights because I'm really interested in Davis. I got a chance to see him a couple times since he made the move out to Vegas, I think 2-3 years ago. And he's really athletic. I know that's a word that we use very loosely here, but he really is. And it's kind of to his detriment sometimes because he leads off with like a left hook. He doesn't jab that often because, he has short arms, but also because of the fact that he is so athletic and he can cut distance off very, very quickly. The only thing that I'm kind of concerned about is that Pedraza, I think, might have some difficulties making the weight because he's been talking about vacating the belt and moving up to the next weight class for quite a while now. So that's one thing that I'm kind of worried about. But I can also see Pedraza maybe outboxing Davis and surviving and winning on points, and I could also see Davis knocking him out in 3 rounds. So that's why this fight is so exciting. But I'm just gonna kind of put my chips on the table and take a risk and think that Davis is gonna win because he is a hot prospect and he's favored to lose in this fight according to the odds. So it's a really, really quick, I think, move up in terms of his maturation process as a fighter. But I think he can do it, man. Because if you watch him fight, the way that he's able to just put together power punches together is pretty remarkable. And he does have a shitload of power for that weight class, and I think it's going to catch Pedraza by surprise.
I've seen Davis a few times. He's definitely caught my eye. Very talented kid. Only thing I disliked is he's slightly cocky, but I guess if you're in the money team, that comes along with the contract. But Pedraza...
He's 22. He's extremely immature.
Yeah.
So.
But Pedraza, he runs hot and cold, man. Sometimes I see him and he impresses me. Sometimes his performances are average. He's got very good length on him. Straight punches are good. He's good in both stances. If I had to make a pick, I think if it's a decent size enough ring and Gervonta can't just kind of bum rush him, Pedraza should win it just with his length, just boxing him. So I'd probably just slightly favour Pedraza, but it's refreshing to see someone step up so quickly because a lot of these guys just get bum after bum after bum and then finally step up and get exposed. So it's definitely good to see.
Do you think Pedraza is good enough, Cam, to avoid his power punches for 12 rounds?
I think he is. I think when Pedraza is good, he's very good. It's just the inconsistency.
I think it's about how in shape he turns up. And to Lim's point, I think that he has been having issues making weight, and if that's an issue for this particular camp, or it has been rather, I think he might come a cropper against Guzman. Guzman himself is, he's not a small 130
Guzman.
Gervonta.
I mean Guzman. Sorry. Gervonta Davis. Sorry.
Gervonta the Tank Guzman, huh?
The styles are so similar. I was comparing them the other day to each other too. But Davis, he's a very physical fighter. He's not a small 130 pounder himself. I'm sure we'll see him at 135 or 140 before too long. But I think he has more weight cuts in him than Pedraza does.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that he'll be able to bully Pedraza enough. And I think we saw a little bit of give in Pedraza against Hedrick Cherry. And I think we'll probably see a little bit more against Guzman, and that'll probably be just enough for Guzman. And this is really do or die for Guzman because all that issue that he had with Floyd, he didn't want to leave Baltimore. Which
Guzman, come on, it's Gervonta, man.
I'm sorry, with Davis.
You gotta get it right.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Fucking up.
A lot of drama.
Fucking up here, man. I'm immature too.
A lot of drama.
Gervonta Davis didn't want to leave Baltimore. And he probably should have, and maybe I should try to remember his name better. I'm sorry, Davis. I think you're gonna win, though, so get it.
There was a lot of drama with this shit. Didn't Floyd didn't he put Gervonta on blast that he gave him money to buy a house or whatever, and he spent it all on jewelry?
Supposedly he sold all of his furniture, a bunch of furniture that Floyd bought him, and all kinds of shit. Yeah, so it was really fucked up. But yeah, Floyd wanted him to move to Vegas to have keep an eye on, be able to, I guess, be able to really tutor him, like mentor him. But Davis was like, fuck that. I'm the shit. And I'm staying in Baltimore. And, I'm not necessarily sure that's the greatest thing for a young prospect on the cusp of, becoming a world champion, for him to be doing. But we'll see. We'll see if maybe he does have a good thing going.
Kimo, any thoughts?
Yeah, I've seen this Gervonta Davis on an undercard somewhere. He kind of looks like he's got the frame of like a Sean Porter, right? He's a really stocky, athletic kid that fights just all with explosive and athletic movements. And I don't know. It's a bit hard for me to call this one, to be honest. I've never been fucking impressed with Pedraza. So if Gervonta is the real deal, you should take his ass out. So I hate it, but I'll go with the TMT guy.
Leon, you got a drunken opinion?
Doghouse. Leon's in the doghouse, man.
Leon,
Passed out.
the drink has finally got to him. Leon, are you there? Nope. All right.
I am. I'm here.
You woke up.
And your conversation, I don't care about your conversation. It's bored me now. So yes, next.
Next is going
Jeez, talk about being fucking casual and shit. Come on. No opinions at all.
Dismissive as fuck.
It's a good fight, man.
Race
Good level
fight.
fight. Is this on the same card, Kim?
Yeah, this is an undercard of DeGale and Jack.
Where's the fight taking place?
New York City.
Are you serious?
Nice impression
I thought
there.
this was in Vegas. Oh, it's in the Barclays Center. Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Shit.
All right,
Are you guys flying out for this one?
No.
Yeah.
I'm already there.
Well, you get Pedraza,
you
you get some of the New Yorkers will come out, hopefully.
like 4.
And then
What do you say then? New Yorkers?
yeah, New York, Puerto Rican. New Yorkers. That's the
Touchy.
and then Gervonta Davis with all the people from B-More too. So you might see Wood out there. Wood may go support his boy.
All right, I think we should wrap it up and let Leon get some sleep, man.
Oh, fuck off. I'm not that bad, you cunts.
When you listen to this back tomorrow, you're going to be texting me apologising.
I ain't listening back to shit. You'll fucking kill yourselves. I don't give a shit.
All right.
I walk like a god among gods. Or what?
Shut it down before he says something racist, Cam.
Yeah, I think we should.
Oh, fuck off.
All right. Good night, Charles Martin.
All right. I want to thank everyone on the show today, all the people in the chat, and all the people that download this show week in, week out. We're going to be back on Monday the 16th because obviously there's no boxing this weekend, and DeGale and Jack is on the 14th, so we'll be back on the 16th. Thank you. Peace.
You just listened to the Boxing Coalition.
Oh, dude, man, I love boxing. I fucking love boxing.
A big shout out to the Boxing Coalition.
You're a newbie.
No, I ain't new, man.
If my fucking next door neighbour became the #1 flyweight in the world, you know what I'd do? I'd fucking walk past the cunt.
Derek, how you doing, bro?
I was physically banging, blood.
I disagree.
First time I hear the show, man, it was fucking badass.
Vamos a Argentina, la concha de su madre.
I see the bomb in them.
I get home and she's like, what the fuck? Me and the kid are here. Why don't you get home and talk to us? I'm like, man, you guys don't know shit about boxing.
Kel, how does it feel to be the new IBF champion?
Feels great. Did we really dive into the black hole right off the jump?
I think he's hiding glass. Just to play devil's advocate. You want 1 portion of crow or 2 portions of crow?
Give me 2 portions with a supersized fries and a large drink, please.
I can't stand him, what? I'm Scottish. Cringe side?
But you won't rush Anthony fucking fat ass Joshua, would you?
He's not fat.
How about you tell us what you weighed for your final thoughts?
My weight?
Thank you for listening to the Boxing Coalition. We are live every Monday, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. UK time, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern.